What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is week 306 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Let's give our man Cleavon a round of applause for being here tonight. Uh, got my man Eric Williams. Eric, thank you for tuning in. Fox Sports Zone, Eric Williams. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna have a football preview for you guys tonight. Um, but we're gonna start the show a little differently tonight than we have in past. I like to play the little monologue. I got a short clip that I want you guys to see, just of a person that's shaped me and molded me to be who I am today. But this might be 10 seconds. Cleavon is the personality and the attitude that I deal with when I would make my voyage back to Seattle, um, having left some years ago. But again, this is just a short clip. It doesn't. It's just a short clip, man, that I want you guys to see. You guys see this on screen? You guys can see this.
See it.
But just if you can hear this, this is just some comedy. This is what I get when I go back to Seattle and visit. Can you guys hear that?
Can't hear it.
You guys can't hear that?
Can't hear it.
I don't know how to get. What do I do to get my sound, my volume right? Uh, you guys can see it, but you can't hear it. Uh, Never mind. Well, let's get this. We got our man Eric Williams joining the show. Folks, that's my father. My father at 72 years old. You saw him had his hands up like he think he Mayweather want to throw some blows. That's my father right there, man. So even at his old age, could barely stand and balance himself. He's challenging me, telling he got his hand for me, and unfortunately he can't throw his hands no more. And I just got word uh, moments ago, moments ago. But in you never quit finish. You never quit running your laps. You never quit on a play. You never quit on a task. And that's why I'm here doing the show with you guys tonight. And I want to thank Cleveland for your participation in the show all these many years. Excuse me, guys, for real. Excuse me. And I want to thank Eric, man, for being a friend and tuning in and helping out during the show. Give me a round of applause, man. Eric, let the people know where they can find you at.
Well, first of all, I want to say my condolences, man. This is the first I've heard of it, and however we can be there for you. I want to make sure that that you're good, and it's obviously a lot. Dealing with somebody that sounds like that as close to you as your father was. But I think the one thing we can do when we lose somebody that's important to us is to continue to kind of soldier on and do the things that they would expect us to do, while we're still here, and kind of pay them that respect. And I hope you continue to grind and continue to work hard as you've been doing since I've known you.
Oh yeah, that's what the pay it forward, man. Thank you for being here again. This is got fall coming around, the best time of the year. You can kind of smell the grass and smell the holes in the grass. Going down and playing at Rainier Playfield as many years I did. One thing I thought was odd, I can say at a young age, is how there would be all these holes in the grounds and then little divots of dirt on the ground next to the holes, and I didn't understand it.
Those ankle breakers.
Uh, but Man, it's football time, guys. It's that time of year. You can smell the grass. You can feel you. You see it on TV. I don't have the Fox sound to play for you. You know we got it. We got the bye week. Eric, how do you feel about the bye week? This is like week 0, if you will.
I think more football is better, in terms of bye week. I'm like you. I mean, I grew up playing football from the time I was 6, through college until I was 22 years old. And I'm at the point where there's actually been more years that I haven't played than played. So this is kind of as close as I get to it, other than, when I coached for a couple years. So football season, just, it's always exciting for me. I'm not fond of bye weeks. Again, I want to watch football, but I also understand that you need the rest and recovery and to kind of set your schedule and all that. But yeah, certainly looking forward to watching college football, and then obviously looking forward to the start of NFL football next week, starting with I believe the Chiefs and Ravens on Thursday Night Football. Looking forward to that game. I will be going to Chargers Raiders. So it's Raiders week for the Chargers. I'm looking forward to seeing Jim Harbaugh on the sideline and seeing what that looks like. Justin Herbert, hopefully he's fully healthy. And then I think the one that I'm looking forward to is the game that finishes week 1. New York Jets, San Francisco 49ers, Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers going back to California, his home state, the Bay. Robert Saleh coaching against his old team in Levi's Stadium. Are the Jets for real? There's been all this talk about Rodgers. We went into it the last time I was on here. Is his Achilles going to pop in the fourth play again, or
go ahead, make the first quarter? We got Mr. Fox Sports writer. He's writing. His pen has been out, buddy. He's juicing it up.
You got to make a living, Cam.
There you go. Appreciate it, my guy. Appreciate it. Eric, let me get into something. I need you to kind of settle a couple debates first before we get into.
That's why I'm here. That's the number one reason you bring me on the show, is to settle debates between you and Cleavon. So I appreciate that, and I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
It's among the many reasons.
Oh boy, Cam, don't get to the big one. Don't get to the big one.
It's among the many reasons. Let me say that.
Ease him into it.
You need somebody from the 253 to act as a person that can kind of, sift through the BS and get right to it.
Balance it, man.
First of all, Eric, let me ask you. If somebody, now we know you was at the KC game, you wouldn't and risk your bones to go to the KC game. So
I did.
It's not too different for you being at the game. But let me think about when you weren't attending all these NFL games. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to that mindset.
Okay.
What is most important, Eric? If somebody invites you to a Super Bowl party, give me your key factor that you come to mind that it has to be right, or you're going to have to decline that invitation.
For me to attend the party?
For you to attend the party.
Well, first of all, you can't go to the party empty-handed, so I need to know what I'm bringing.
Okay.
Drinks or side dish or what it is I'm contributing to the party. Okay. And then obviously I'm going to ask what the TV situation is, because you can't be going to watch the game and it's on the
Bluetooth,
the 13-inch black and white, or the old school,
Tube
TV that sits on the floor that our grandmas all had, and we know what that looks like because the color ain't right.
Okay. See. All right, let me ask you that was one of the good answers. That's the best answer you can give, because that's always key number one. I mean, you don't go to the party empty-handed. So whatever you choose to bring, if you're not asked to bring something, kind of goes without question. Does surround sound, Eric, matter to you in these days?
It doesn't matter to me, but I know that's important for a lot of other people. It's important for my wife. She's a big surround sound person. So I understand that question. But for me, I don't need to feel like at the stadium watching the game. I just need the visuals to be right so I can see what happens.
Well, you want to see what happens, yes. But yeah, I'm like your wife. Surround sound is critical. If I'm not there, I need to feel the stomping of the stands. I need to feel the TV shake.
This is good information for me to know later.
Yeah. Couple things that we're going to get into later. But just kind of backing up on kind of one of the topics of the last week, just want to get your feedback on it. And then, yeah, you will be settling some arguments. I believe that. I thought, Eric, this is kind of an older issue that resurfaced when Tua Tagovailoa sat down with Dan Le Batard and his cronies. And he mentioned how Brian Flores treated him in comparison to how Mike McDaniels treats him now, and the difference in leadership there. I thought that was kind of now, Eric, you think you're in along the same mind frame here, where you didn't have coaches coddling you, and more coaches were kicking you in the butt than probably rubbing you on your back and patting you on the head.
Sure.
In that era, I thought that spoke to Tua's sensitivity.
Yeah, I can see both sides of this. So Tua's obviously been coached hard. He played at Alabama for Coach Saban. And then it sounds like his dad was another person that coached him hard as a young person growing up. So I think he was used to hard coaching and was able to respond to that. And so it sounds like, again, just listening to Tua talk and then listening and reading all the reports coming out of there, that it was borderline abusive in terms of what he was dealing with Coach Flores. Again, that's just, I don't know if that is true or not, because we're not there dealing with Coach Flores on a daily basis. So, and we don't know what other players were dealing with and how they were reacting to that. I guess what we can clearly say is whatever Coach Flores was doing wasn't working. It wasn't reaching him, because he wasn't reaching his full potential. He was a guy that played lights out in college and then all of a sudden went to the pros and looked like Jeff George, like he couldn't play. And we know that he can play now because we saw him play
arm like Jeff George. I think he would really kill for an arm like Jeff George.
Well, but Jeff George threw it to the other team a lot.
Yeah, true.
So, but let me say this. I thought the fact that it was coming up 3 years later was a little bit unfair to Coach Flores. He had kind of moved on. I think Tua had moved on. And so it was kind of bringing up old stuff. So I didn't like that part of it. I felt like if Tua really felt that way, like he should have had a personal conversation with Coach Flores and then kind of hashed it out there. So I didn't like it being aired publicly. As, like you said, an old school player and an old school coach, I think the way that we handled those kind of situations back in the day was we kept it behind closed doors and we dealt with it that way. Now, that said, I think Tua speaking about it publicly certainly helps other players that are going through similar situations kind of speak their truth and, gives them the confidence to come out and talk about it if they're going through similar situations, which are perhaps borderline abusive, either in high school or Pop Warner or college or the pros. And so I think it does provide a public service in that way. So again, I think there's a lot of different ways you can take it. I thought Coach Flores responded the right way when he was in front of the media and said the right things in terms of kind of not necessarily apologizing, but owning that there was something that didn't go right there.
Yeah, he could have did better. I would have rather Coach Flores not say anything. Just like that was.
I think you have to say something.
You really, I
think you have to address it.
I guess if you don't address it, it's going to continue to be an issue.
Yeah, then anything can be said about it because you're not speaking about it. So if you don't speak about it, then everybody's going to think that what Tua said is true.
Fair enough. Yeah, his response is, yeah, I could have done something better. We all learn and grow from it. I didn't think Flores deserved to be the head coach anyway. If we go back it up, I don't think he was. When you have defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick, who has been there for 20 years, like I don't know, that's not much on the resume for me.
What was his record when he was in Miami?
It wasn't very stellar. I think he did make the playoffs one of the 500. It was less than impressive.
I mean, he won games.
This situation is an example of why he shouldn't have been a head coach. He wasn't ready for this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm not denying that he didn't.
He wasn't ready.
Didn't handle that situation well.
Being defensive head court, I didn't like that when he was defense. That was enough first thing on your resume. Defensive head coordinator for the New England Patriots. Like, dude, you were under Bill Belichick. Like that doesn't, to me, that's not the reason you get hired. But nonetheless, I just want to rehash that and get your feedback on that because I thought that was pretty interesting topic, and I want to get your feedback on it.
I'd like to hear what Cleveland has to say.
Yeah, so I thought it was quite interesting that the timing of his comments was right after he got the $250 million payday, and so he felt incredibly emboldened to kind of shed, if you will, that snake skin, and kind of, now there's not going to be any repercussions to saying this because I've already got the $250 million, and we're going to go forward. In addition to that, like you were saying, Eric, he's been coached hard by Saban and his dad, but he won a national championship at Alabama. I'm sure he didn't lose 3 games playing under his dad, but this was like much more adversity than he had ever experienced to this point. And I'm not sure he handled it 100% well, and especially at the quarterback position, which is such an integral part of everything. Like, it emanates through the entire team, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, he's yelling at me, so now the team doesn't like me. And it's like, you're getting a little bit extra sensitive on one aspect, right? But on the other one, maybe it's just like, okay, well, why are you making me the scapegoat for everything that's going wrong on this team? And there's holes all over the place. Why do I catch all the bullets? I don't understand that. And so maybe he goes, back home and is like, wow, I must not be anything after all these things that I think that I've accomplished, all these things that I think that I am. You're telling me I'm none of these things. And you start to internalize and believe it. Like he said, like, okay, well, if you're telling me every day I'm horrible, well, then I must be horrible. If you're telling me every day
that's when you got to have some inner strength, man.
And then it's like, okay, well, you kind of start to crawl out of that hole. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, right? But I think that the timing of it, like you said, was a little, I don't want to say egregious, but it was like a little off. I mean, if you really felt that way, you should have said that when it happened, but you weren't self-confident enough to do that. And the only thing that made you self-confident enough to do that was all this money that they gave you. And when you hear other reports and other programs, they're all like, oh, he was saying that last year. He would go into the, the program meetings and, oh, yeah, this and that. But he was never confident enough to say it publicly. And all of a sudden, okay, well, $250 million makes you confident to say it publicly.
Yeah.
Well, there's some of that, but I will credit Le Batard in the situation that they had a 50-minute interview, and that was the final question he asked of the interview. So the interview wasn't based around those comments that he had, and it wasn't based around his relationship with Flores. He simply asked, what was the difference between these years, the last couple of years versus your first couple of years? And then that's how we heard how Tua responded. So credit Dan Lebatard for conducting a good interview, getting a lot out of him, and then buttering him up so he would go ahead and drop that the line of the interview.
Yeah.
So credit to Lebatard to that. But I thought it spoke to a sensitivity. That's immediately Cleveland when I heard it. I text you. That's it. It spoke to his sensitivity. That's what I thought of it. But then we know, to your point, Eric, you kind of as a head coach, you kind of got to know your audience and know whether your guy needs a kick in the butt or whether he needs a pat on the back, and that's your job as a coach to try to get the best of them. And that's not only on the football field. That's I mean, you're a father, Eric. That's with your father, with your family. That's
Mhm.
when you're playing with your team as a coach, coaching middle school basketball. You got to know who can take it and who can't. And some players need that, some players don't. Um, and so I think it spoke to his sensitivity, but then at the same time, it spoke to the ineptness of Brian Flores as a head coach, who will clearly never be a head coach again. Um,
Yeah, it's a very nuanced conversation. I agree, Cam. And at the end of the day, it's 2024. Nobody's coaching like Vince Lombardi anymore. You have to have good relationships with these players, and you have to empower them
yeah,
and to give them that confidence. The players are different than we were 30, 40, 50 years ago, and they should be. It's the
it's just
evolution
a different time,
of
right?
sports. Yeah.
Looks like Drake May. Well, Jacoby Brissett had the injury that pushes Drake May up into the starting role. What do you trust Drake May? Have you seen anything? So first, since I already brought up the Drake May, have you
Mhm.
seen anything with Drake May that gives you confidence with him moving forward? And then, what was been your big story of the preseason?
In terms of Drake May, I think you saw flashes of him being able to play in the preseason. I think the problem with that is we know in preseason everything's pretty vanilla. Once he gets in the regular season game, there's going to be all kind of blitzes and disguise and different looks, and he's going to have to play faster. And I think in that scenario, he might struggle a little bit. And so I think there's some concern if you're going to roll, Drake out there week one. I mean, if he does struggle and then you have to bench him, are you going to have a Zach Wilson situation where his confidence is shattered because, he struggles early? How is he going to work through adversity? Would be my concern if you're going to start, May at the start of the season. In terms of just the big stories, I think for me, because I'm on the West Coast, it's Brandon Ayuk. I mean, it's like as the world turns in the Bay Area right now. I mean, he's signing, he's getting traded. He doesn't want to go to New England. He doesn't want to go to Cleveland, apparently. Sounds like he wants to go to Washington. Is Washington still in it? We don't know. Sounds like Pittsburgh has an offer on the table, and the Niners maybe would rather. I'm sure they would rather Ayuk play for them than have to deal him to the Steelers with the Super Bowl window closing on them a little bit based on what guys are making and guys aging and getting older. Trent Williams still isn't there. That's obviously concerning. You're talking about protecting Brock Purdy's blind side. Brock Purdy has been up and down both in practice and in preseason play because he doesn't have all his boys there.
Have you been to the practice? Have you seen him practice?
No, I was supposed to watch the Niners when they came down for a joint scrimmage against the Saints, but that ended up canceling because they had 23 guys hurt, so they didn't come down here because they didn't have enough guys to run the joint scrimmage. So again, that's another thing that's going on with the Niners is injuries. Christian McCaffrey's been dealing with a calf issue and hasn't practiced, and so you're concerned about what he's going to look like the start of the year. And McCaffrey has an injury history. He was able to stay healthy last year, but can he do that again?
What's your thoughts on Brock Purdy? Considering, do you expect? I expect him to get kind of the Brandon Ayuk situation done. I expect
Mhm.
him to throw a couple more million at Trent Williams just to get him in here. Um, is is he expecting a 4-year deal? at this point for 35 million.
Yeah, Brock's gonna get paid. I mean,
No,
if
not Brock. Trent Williams.
oh, I don't. Well, Trent, I mean, you got to pay him too, even though he's 36 years old. So I would think that's going to be some kind of sweetener going into
Right.
this year where they guarantee his salary and maybe give him a couple million more. And
Right.
then perhaps he walks off into the sunset after this year. But I mean, he's still one of the top left tackles in the game. And, your offensive line is different if he's not out there. I think the concern, though, if you're the 49ers, is again, Trent's age. He's 36 years old. He had some injuries last year. Is he going to be able to make it throughout the year healthy? I mean, because they're going to play more than 17 games. At least I think that's the expectation. If you're San Francisco, is he going to be able to play 20 games? I mean, that's a risk when you start getting up there in age and you worry about knees and ligaments and Achilles and just being in bad situations as an offensive lineman. So I could understand why there's, it needs to be the right number both for Trent and the Niners. But, growing up in Seattle, we certainly see Walter Jones. I don't think Walter Jones ever went to a training camp, at least not very many. And he certainly showed up in week one and blocked everybody that was in front of him, didn't have any issues. So that just kind of speaks to the athleticism and talent level, both for Walter Jones. And I think Trent Williams is in a similar category.
Yeah, that's kind of why I expect that to get done. They'll just give him a few more millions, sweeten it up at, like you say, and then guarantee the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they can't work anything out for next season, they'll worry about that next offseason.
Yeah.
But the Brandon Ayuk situation, like, unless he's asking for more than Deebo Samuels, like, I think that deal gets done as well because they need them both. Like, they need Deebo can't carry the load himself or hasn't proven to be able to carry the load himself. And then Brandon Ayuk also is a good complement where he hasn't proven where he can carry the load himself. So they do need them both to help the young gunslinger out. Like, without Trent Williams, without Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy, I'd admit is probably a different quarterback. But with those guys, he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. And so I say Super Bowl caliber in the sense that with him playing at high level, that they can get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I equate Brock to Russell Wilson in Seattle's offense. I mean, he's a great distributor of the ball to their playmakers. But if you take him outside of that offense, he's probably not the same guy.
Right,
and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like,
no, not at all.
You could put certain guys in San Francisco's system and they might not play well, even though they're more talented than Brock. I think Brock's just a great fit for what Kyle wants to do in that offense. They both see what's going to happen on offense the same way. Then obviously they have, they have a bevy of playmakers that can go out and get it done, whether it's Deebo or Ayuk or Kittle or Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, who probably gets underlooked a little bit, but with Elijah Mitchell being on the IR for the year, they're going to count on him more. We'll see if Ricky Pearsall can get on the field. I really like this Jacob Cowan guy that they got in the 4th round out of Arizona. He's electric. Like he's going to make some plays for them. So they'll figure it out. Kyle can create offense, and Purdy just has to be efficient. Running that offense.
Do you you brought up, excuse me, you brought up your Jets and you expecting big things out of the Jets. I will say right now, I'm gonna ask you for your picks in your.
I don't know. Did I say that?
It sounded like you're alluding to it. I don't know if that was a writer in there. It sounded like you were alluding to the Jets doing big thing this year.
Okay.
But Hassan Reddick does he get signed? And is he a difference maker? Do you see him as a difference maker for the Jets team, or not a liability? Does him not being there offer limit for the Jets?
I mean, he's one of the best pass rushers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you have a guy that's that talented and he's not out there, your defense is going to be different. I know they haven't played with him yet, so they haven't really experienced what it's like for him to be out there. And they have some talented pass rushers. on that team, and they'll be fine. But I think what you're going to miss him is when you're playing teams like San Francisco and you got to get off the field. I mean, he's an elite dude coming off the edge. I mean, he's going to help you close games. It's kind of like when the Rams added Von Miller. Like, they were already good, and then you add Von Miller, you're like, okay, like this is different. Like, it just gives your defense that much more juice. So at the end of games, when you need somebody to make a play, you now have another person you can throw out there. So perhaps that's the way the Jets are looking at it. Like, hey, like, you know, we're gonna look at the long play here. Maybe we won't have him for the first couple of weeks, but eventually we're gonna figure out the money and get him out there.
And then he has to report, you know, by week 8 at nothing else if he wants a year, right? If he wants a year under his book.
Yeah, I would think it's similar to Le'Veon Bell. Like, at some point you got to get on the field and make your money. You know, Chris Jones eventually, you know, they got a deal done with him.
What do you think?
So there's got to be a deadline there.
We saw once Megatron retired, how all of a sudden Matthew Stafford was forced to look at other guys on his team, move the ball around, and not, you know, target one player 65% of the time. Does Stephon Diggs leaving Buffalo open up Josh Allen's game in a similar fashion?
Addition by subtraction?
Well, I'm thinking back to what that did. And again, Megatron was great, but you saw now when you don't have that guy and you just can't continue to target him all the time.
Yeah.
Does that opened up Matthew Stafford's game a little bit?
Yeah, I think it.
And
I think.
do we see
Go
the
ahead,
same?
Cam.
Do we see the same thing happening with Josh Allen?
Yeah, I think there's a closer comparison, and it's Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. You know, when you lose a guy that's a true number one. What's that?
Tyreek Hill now.
What's that?
Stephon Diggs wasn't Tyreek Hill now. Let's settle down.
Well, I mean, look at how he was. I think he was targeted 26% of the time last year by the Bills. Like, he was the dude. And the problem is when you have a number one like that, that's always demanding the ball. I think as a quarterback, you feel like, man, I got to get this guy the ball so he'll be quiet instead of just getting to him when he's open. And I think there was a little bit of that with Tyreek and Mahomes too. Like, Tyreek didn't feel like he was getting the ball enough because he's trying to get paid. Obviously, I would imagine the same thing with Diggs. And so now you remove that situation. Now Josh can just throw who's ever open. Like, he's not worried about guys being in his ear, you know, complaining about not getting the rock, you know, every time he comes off the field. So I think it just kind of frees him up to distribute and throw the ball to whoever's open on offense. Now you are losing a guy that, you know, is one of the elite receivers in the league, in my opinion, that can, you know, pretty much get open against anybody. But, you know, other guys will step up.
On the flip side, how does that impact CJ Stroud?
I'm really interested to see that because there is going to be some kind of adversity, and I want to see how he responds. You know, is he going to get into an argument with CJ? And, you know, D'Amico's not putting up with any of that mess. So that's going to be shut down pretty quick because he's a pretty strong personality as a head coach from people that I've talked to. Sure. And so I really am interested because he's not going to get as many targets. I mean, they got so many dudes on that offense. So, you know, how is he going to handle that?
Some people have
pretty volatile personality. Not that that's bad. I think, you know, that can be good. I like, you know, when it's a player, I like playing guys that were a little feisty and had juice that got me going. So I think it could be good for your team, but I also feel like it has to be managed.
Right. Well, yeah, he's coming into a system more so than when he went to Buffalo. It was, you know, they needed him. I don't think the Houston Texans need him as much as Buffalo did, although he'll be a good fit there. But there's, you know, they've had some success, and some people think the Golden Boy CJ Stroud down there can do no wrong. and I'm wondering how that relationship plays out. Cleveland, what's your thoughts? How do you think about the golden boy, or that's Cleveland's golden boy, actually, C.J. Stroud? How do you think that plays out with C.J.?
I think it's great that they gave him a new toy. They gave him someone that has shown a track record of having success and production in the league. But I think that adverse to what some of the other situations that Stefon Diggs has been in, he is not the dude in the room. And if it comes down to, hey, this isn't a good match for CJ, you're gone. There's no margin for error. They're not pandering to him in the same way that a lot of teams pander to number one receivers. And make no mistake about it, I am one of those guys that would prefer to have a diva dominant number one receiver. That's where you throw the ball. I would prefer to have a Jamar Chase. I would prefer to have a Devontae Adams. I would prefer to have a Justin Jefferson. There's not a lot of mystery in, that kind of stuff that goes along with this. But Stefon forced his way out of Buffalo. Make no mistake about it. He wasn't happy. He made it known he wasn't happy. And it came down to that same situation. Is it going to be Josh or you? And it's going to be Josh. But this is going to happen much faster. Either you. This is one of those you blend in or you be gone. Because we're gonna be good, either way as it goes. We prefer you be a part of all this because your productivity shows that you can help us get to the next level. But if your personality in the locker room and you and CJ just don't mesh, well, yeah, the door is over there.
Cleveland, go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say, don't you think I think it's similar to kind of when Odell went to the Rams? Like they really kind of embraced him and just said, hey, like this is who we are, be a part of it. We're gonna make you a part of this offense and really find opportunities for you to shine. I mean, I would think it works in Houston's favor to get the best out of Stefon for where they want to go, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's very similar. I think the circumstances regarding the departure are slightly different. And I think that the level that the team is at is different. The Rams were a lot more of a veteran team, Stafford and, Aaron Donald on the other side and, Jalen Ramsey. And like you said, they brought in Vaughn. So, it was a lot more of a mature locker room, for lack of a better word. I mean, CJ's in his second season, Nico's hit one in his second season, Tank Dell, I think Joe Mixon is kind of like the seasoned veteran. Their best defensive player is Will Anderson. He's in his second year. Derek Stingley is very, very young. So I think it's a little bit of a different dynamic than when they brought in Odell to kind of like, let's, veterans, let's, get over the hump as adverse, a team that I think kind of overachieved last year. And don't tell Cam this. I think they kind of overachieved last year. So to kind of replicate that with a much more difficult schedule will be kind of a challenge. Yeah. But I think that they're up for it, given how the success kind of bred a culture, if you will. And so,
unlike that Ram situation, I think
he had to fit in before. He just had to be like, "Hey, I'm here now, so this is what we're gonna do." And so,
unlike that Ram situation, I think the Rams were looking for somebody to kind of take them over the hump. They were looking for another leader on the offensive side of the ball. Here, take this mantle, wear this mantle as the guy, and then we're going to ride your back. And so, yes, they were welcoming him in. And I think, as Cleveland was stating, like there's some different characters. They're in a different situation here with the Texans, where they're expecting him to fit in. And so it'll be interesting. That's another interesting subplot of this season. Something else I find interesting in this season, and maybe we already know the answer to this, and guys like myself are kind of refusing to see it this way. But should we expect Deshaun Watson to return to that 2019-2020 form?
I think what happens in the past is usually a pretty good predictor of what's going to happen in the future. And Deshaun's played, 12 games in 2 years? Excuse me. So do we really believe he's going to get through the entire year without getting hurt?
Yeah, he was
Buying into that.
You're not buying into that? I would.
They kept 4 quarterbacks, so that lets you know how Cleveland feels about it.
Right, right. But I mean, they don't have a starter. I mean, they let Flacco go, the guy who got him to the playoffs.
Hey, they got famous Jameis. They got DTR, Hundley.
Jameis Winston, he's relegated to the pregame hype show, hype fest, isn't he? Eric, there's something going on in Chicago this year. Chicago obviously is on what did it say? The darlings of the NFL. They got Ryan Poles has kind of done everything. Everybody, the eyeballs have been on them since February. So, and now the NFL made them put them on Hard Knocks to highlight the spotlight, put the spotlight.
Boring us every Tuesday, huh?
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on the number 1 draft pick?
Caleb's the truth. I mean, you got to give him his flowers. I mean, I know he hasn't played yet, but from everything we've seen at SC and then just kind of watching him run around a little bit, in the preseason, he looks like the real deal. Now, that said, I mean, he still has to go out there and do it. He still has to go out there and produce. They're going to face some adversity at some point. There's going to be some stuff that happens inside the facility that maybe his teammates aren't feeling. So I'm waiting for that to happen throughout the year and to see how he responds in those situations. But he's certainly set up for success. Quarterback that the Bears have ever had, and he hasn't played a game yet. I mean, let's put some respect on Jim McMahon's name a little bit. I mean, he did win a Super Bowl. I know he wasn't the person carrying the offense, but Jim could play a little bit. And we got to at least bring Smoking Jay Cutler out as well, who was getting it done at times. Was certainly had the talent. Obviously, didn't reach his full potential with the Bears. I just think the hype train is a little bit too much with Caleb, although I certainly respect who he is as a player.
The talent.
And the talent is obvious, and they seem to be set up to do some damage. But as we all know, like, stuff happens, man.
Well, they put some pretty good tools around him, Eric. One thing I can't understand for the life of me, Eric, is I can't understand why DeAndre Swift gets traded every offseason or is on the blocks every offseason. Can you answer that? Do you have a reason? Do you know? Is he a bad locker room guy? Why does this guy bounce around to? I mean, he's making his rounds around the NFL, and he's not even 30 years old. So we can't say it's an old running back. Like, do you understand why?
Yeah, I got no scoop for you there, Cam. I'm not sorry.
Man,
I wish I could
I would
give
love
you a
to
better
know.
answer. I will say this, though. I mean, teams are trading for him, so that means that they want him. They still believe he can play. Perhaps he's just in bad situations where he's in a running back room where they're loaded with talent, and he's just kind of, the draw the short straw for whatever reason. But whenever you see him play, I mean, looks like he's got juice. Looks like he can, still handle his business.
Yeah, I thought he found a home with the Eagles. Then I thought he found a home with the Lions, and I don't understand. So I will say the Bears have put good talent around him. Now, I went so far as to say last week that I was shunned with my comments. I said they put a Hall of Fame wide receiver with him, which I actually was surprised that Keenan Allen showed up in Chicago. But is Keenan Allen a Hall of Fame wide receiver?
Yeah, I don't know if we can go there yet. I mean, I think with the numbers, the numbers have changed. So you have to consider that. There's going to be a lot of guys that have the kind of numbers that
You're not helping me, Eric. You're not helping
So,
me right now.
well, I got to be honest, bro. Like, I mean, I love Keenan in his game. Keenan doesn't get in the end zone a whole lot either. So I'll say that.
Is it 6 or 7 straight years with 100 catches?
Right, but that's what
season.
I'm saying. Like, I don't know if that means as much as it did 10, 20 years ago because they're throwing the ball so much more. I don't think he's been on an all-decade team. You know, I'd have to go back and look. I don't think that's happened. I don't even think he's been all-pro. So I would think you'd have to be all-pro at least once to be considered in that conversation as a Hall of Famer. So, you know, he's got good numbers. But when I think, you know, because I'm one of the selectors on the Hall of Fame. When we look at it, we're looking at, you know, the best 4 or 5 years of that player and where do they rate with the contemporaries for who they're playing with. And so look at Keenan's best 4 years and how does that rank with other guys he was playing with? How does that rank with Justin Jefferson or Julio Jones or, you know, players like that?
No, there's no player who's caught 100 passes in the 7 straight years. 7 consecutive years. No player in the NFL has done that. None.
How
Zero.
many playoff wins does Keenan have?
Well, no, you're twisting the argument here. You're twisting the storyline.
It's a team game.
You asked me.
I said Hall of Famer, and you said no playoff games. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You guys keep coming.
Well, he couldn't wait to get that in. He couldn't wait to get that in there.
Hey, but I have a lot of respect for Keenan. Keenan's a baller, and Keenan's going to help that team. You know, with what he does and his skill set, and I expect him to still put up, you know, pretty good numbers in Chicago.
What is the ceiling for Rome Odunze? Do you see?
That's a great question. Because I don't know if Rome's going to be a guy that's going to, like Keenan, be a 100-catch guy. I think he's probably more like Mike Williams. That's going to be a field stretcher. That's going to, you know, be a yak guy that makes some big plays down the field.
Really?
It's hard in that offense right now because, I mean, obviously they have Keenan, they have DJ Moore, and then he's the third option right now. And I think
in the field though, that's surprising.
He's got juice. I mean, and he's great at high pointing the ball. He's a great 50-50 guy. I mean, Mike Williams is a 4-5 guy, so Mike does it by just bodying and just being relentless.
Yeah, he was 6'4", 6'5".
And you know, I think Rome's 6'2", 6'3", you know, good athlete.
6'3", 210, runs a 4.4. Sorry.
He's fast.
He's fast. He
can run routes. He can route you up.
I was excited about these Bears. I have Rome Odunze being a possession receiver in the NFL.
No, he's not a possession receiver in my opinion.
That's
why I said field stretcher because I think he can get deep on guys.
I didn't
like Cleveland said 4.4.
I didn't see him running by anybody in University of Washington.
Yeah,
I didn't see him.
What games were you watching?
I didn't see him straight. I didn't see him running by anybody.
I saw him in person do it against UCLA. I was at the game in the corner of the end zone. He ran I think it was a.
Let me talk. I mean, did he have a good game against Utah too? Was he balling against Utah too? Come on, come on now, come on.
He balled against good teams.
I saw him. Now I'm no doubt in his ability. He runs routes. He's going to learn obviously from Keenan Allen how to run routes. He's going to that mistake that. I think that was a great mistake for him to have in the preseason game where he didn't get his feet down and out of bounds. Because that won't never happen again. Right. I don't anticipate that happening again. He will now know you got to get your feet down. And they didn't show. I didn't see enough of on Hard Knocks of the team. I see the coaches and the coaches laughing about that in the coaches room. I didn't see anybody get on him about that during practice. I'm sure there was more people that got on him about it. I'm sure somebody painted lines around his locker room to say, do you know where your boundaries are to help him remember? Because I don't expect that to happen again. I just didn't see him running in college. I personally, and I try to look for highlights. Cleveland and I sat here and watched. I cut up some highlights of him. I didn't see him go past anybody down the field. I saw him run some underneath routes, and he did a lot of catching in that 15 to 20-yard range, which, I mean, you got to be able to catch the ball. But I just didn't see him go. I saw Jalen Polk being the big time playmaker for the Huskies.
Mhm.
I didn't see him shaking anybody and getting up the field. I saw none of that, and that's why I wasn't high on that. But you're supporting Cleveland's argument, Eric. I'm not sure why I brought you on the show, man. If you're just
Yeah.
gonna support Cleveland, the co-host.
I'm not sure. I guess we just watched different games, Cam, because I did see him get deep several times, and he was really good in the red zone, on the fade balls. Like his ability to contort his body, which is important in the NFL. I mean, because you want guys that can score in those compacted areas, and like the route that we saw that he ran where he didn't get his feet in, he's pretty good in finding space in those situations and making himself available.
I just didn't see him, and I'm not saying he's a bad receiver by no means. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't see him. You said he's going to be a down the field guy, stretch the field guy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that big play. I didn't see that big play ability. They showed the one play, and I guess this speaks more to you guys' point, is the one play he did in, I think it was the first catch he had from Caleb Williams. That was more of a broken play, and his ability. Caleb Williams, does a rollout, and he catches a DB, probably was a third string cornerback. He catches him looking in the backfield, turns around and runs upfield, and then he catches a 45-yard pass. I expect a lot of that. Like, I don't think he's gonna beat anybody 45 yards down the field and make a catch and go run to the end zone. Cleveland, you have to admit, we watched the videotape together. That never happened, Cleveland.
Okay, so thanks, Cam, for giving me my 5 minutes on Rome, Odunze. Now, first thing I said, Eric, I said I watched every game that he played the last 2 years. Every single game. And I said the comp was he has DeAndre Hopkins' hands and Jamar Chase route running. But he's 6'3".
That's going to be the Hall of Famer. That's going to be the Hall of Famer then on the team. If that's what you're saying, you give him DeAndre Hopkins.
Let me finish. I've been saying this since February. I gave you the comp in February, okay? In February. Okay.
So I had the wrong Hall of Famer on the team. I'm sorry, Eric. I had the wrong person.
But then I wasn't even really stressing the 6'3", 210, 4'4". I was just like, he has incredibly strong hands. His catching radius is as far as his hands can reach, right? And he has, pristine route running. Okay. That being said, on this team, like you just said, he's the third best receiver, right? Supposedly. So Keenan Allen and DJ Moore are going to get all the attention. Okay, so in college, you had to put your number one cornerback on him. You get to the pros, you're going to put your number 3 cornerback on him? 6'3", 210, 4'4", incredible catching radius, really strong hands. And it might be the 4th option because you might, are you going to go to Cole Kmet? Are you going to go to Swift out of the backfield? Little too many things going on. He's going to have a good season.
The one thing I like about him that I don't know gets talked about a lot is he has incredible body control. And that's one thing as a receiver, your ability to adjust the ball. A lot of guys that play receiver and they don't play other sports, they could be a little robotic. But for me, like Golden Tate was really good at this. It was an underrated aspect of his game. It's because he played center field in high school and college. So his ability to high point the ball at 5'9", 200 pounds and go snatch it away from a 6'3" guy just because of his timing was, to me, special and one of the things that separated him and made him a person that could make big plays in the NFL. And I see that in Rome. He always seems to get up higher than the guy he's playing against, or to make his body or contort it so that he's in position to catch it and the guy against him is not in position.
It's going to be there's a lot of things to look at. That's something else to pinpoint this season. Just a couple more for you, Eric. Is Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson, who has the better season this year?
I am on the Bryce Young / Dave Canales train. So I'm a believer in Dave. An assistant coach with the Seahawks. Was able to kind of build a little bit of relationship with him over the years of covering the team. Was not surprised that he had success as the offensive coordinator for the Bucs and, turning around Baker. I know he had a lot to do with Geno's success. I think you'll have a pretty good idea of how to make Bryce work. I think the problem with Bryce is he's just small. You look at him and you're like, what is he doing out there playing with the rest of those guys?
Yeah.
He just doesn't look, he's not like Kyler. When you see Kyler out there, Kyler's like, he's a robust dude. He's pretty yoked. Yeah, I don't see that. Bryce looks like a hooper out there playing quarterback. And so my concern obviously is injury. Can he hold up for a full season? But I know he can play. And I know that Canales will create an offense that will get the best things out of Bryce's skill set. So I'm going to take Bryce over Anthony. Also, his success in college. He played against big time programs and schools and obviously balled out. I believe he's a Heisman Trophy winner. Anthony, we got to see it.
Position. He's still learning the role, the position. Should we question McVay for having Kyren Williams return punts? Should we question that decision, or because it's Sean McVay, we have to just, it's McVay. He knows
the same respect that I have for Pete as a head coach, I have for Sean McVay, just having been around him for 3-4 years. Like, I think he's going to go down as one of the best coaches in NFL history. That's how I think of him. And so if he wants Kyren to return punts, he's obviously thinking that maybe Kyron's not going to get as many touches on offense as he did last year if he's willing to do that. And so we might see a lot of Blake Corum, that was my read on it. It's like, wow, if you're putting him back there to return punts, that means he's only going to get 10, 15 touches a game, and you're trying to get him extra touches. So I thought it was probably going to be Tutu. That made the most sense to me.
Right. That's a good point.
About ways that he can impact the game.
You expect Blake to step in right away and be a difference maker?
Yeah, I think Blake's gonna get some run, man. That was, I think Sean feels like his offense is best when he has two guys back there. Think when he had Darrell Williams and Cam Akers, sharing the load. I think he likes it best.
Well, that makes it. That makes sense.
Gurley was a beast, but Gurley didn't last.
Right.
So,
but makes sense. That makes sense in that respect. Yeah. Eric, can you give us your Final Four this season? Who in the Final Four, the AFC Final Four, the Final Four together? Who makes the AFC Championship? Who makes the NFC Championship?
I'm going Chiefs, Chargers.
Chargers. I didn't even get a chance to ask you about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then I'll go NFC. I'll go Niners. I'll go Niners, Dallas.
You got Dallas making it to the to the NFC Championship?
I think Dallas is finally going to break through.
So you said Chargers. I didn't even get a chance to ask you about Harbaugh. So it's a Harbaugh factor. Are you not concerned that the receivers there aren't? Please don't tell me Ladd McConkey is going to be their number one receiver, and they're getting to the AFC Championship with that.
So when the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, who was their number one and number twos?
No, the pedestrian guys.
Doug Baldwin and Golden Tate.
The pedestrian guys.
You're a running team, so
have you been to their practices? Have you been to their practices, the Chargers?
Yeah, I watched practice. Ladd looked good. I don't know if he's a true number one. I think Palmer probably get more touches than him, to be honest. And Q's look good. I don't think they use Q the right way. I never understood why. Q's a guy that needs touches early. So bubbles, slants, like just get him the ball and let him do his thing. They ran him on too much deep stuff, like goes and comebacks, and they tried to use him like Mike Williams, and he's not Mike Williams. He's a big guy that moves like a small guy. And so they need to get him the ball quickly.
So this is going to be a different season. We'll see a different season from
Maybe square ends, just quick stuff, over routes.
So
he needs to get the ball early. What's that?
Where is Spiller? Is Spiller not getting any run?
They cut him and they brought him back to them on the practice squad.
Really?
He just hasn't looked good. Like he plays slow.
Just can't figure it out, huh?
Apparently.
Can't figure it out. Eric, want to thank you, man. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yes, sir. You can find my work at foxsports.com. Please check me out. I'm writing something on Brock Purdy tomorrow, trying to get better and more efficient in year 3. I was able to talk to his private QB coach, Will Hewitt, who down in Jacksonville. Great conversation with him. Good dude. Also works with Caleb Williams and Anthony Richan down there, Jacksonville in the offseason. So check that out tomorrow morning. And then you can find me on X, formerly Twitter, Eric_D_Williams. And you can find me on Instagram at EdubNFL.
And we need other time fans. You guys can find them right here on the Voice of the Fans podcast. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for making time for us. Want you to go enjoy your season, and we're going to catch you up on the road. Well, in between travel trips, I guess we'll catch up with you sometime in September. Eric, thanks again for joining the show. We appreciate you. Go follow on Fans. He's a great dude. Eric, have a great one, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully I can see you if I'm up in Seattle in October. Let's make that happen. First one's on me.
I was just thinking that, we need to do that, man. Face to face.
Well, I'll be there before October now, but yeah, I was planning to be there for the month of October, but we'll see. We'll see how things happen. I will be up there pretty soon, and we'll touch base, man, for sure.
Okay, sounds good, fellas. Appreciate y'all.
Right on,
bro. Eric Williams. I gotta have a little private conversation with Eric before he comes on the show.
See, you know what I'm saying, yeah, you might want to prep him on the questions he's gonna ask and make sure he answers them the right way, the way you want him to answer them.
Oh my goodness! Oh yeah, I'm about to do a little bit more better.
Why you I don't understand.
I'm gonna have to do some better prep work. A couple things that happened this week, Cleveland, that I didn't get the chance to touch with Eric is Russell Wilson been named the starter. I think that was kind of a foregone conclusion. Whether he keeps the job or not is going to be something to look at. But you got anything for Russell being named the starter?
Man, good luck to him. I'm not quite sure if he earned the job or if he, earned it by default or, a very impressive resume adverse, a very questionable resume. So we have to go with the more impressive resume to get things started. But yeah, I kind of expected a little bit more stellar play from one or the other or both, and it was kind of mediocre on both ends. And well, if it's just going to be mediocre on both ends, we have to go with the guy that's been in the Super Bowl 2 times and playoffs 7 times,
CeeDee Lamb signs with the Cowboys. I mean, we expected that to happen, and they couldn't start the season without him. I mean, it just makes no sense. So that had to happen. Do they get Dak signed before the season? Do they get Dak re-signed, I guess, before the season starts? No. Thought it was a good conversation. Had to see Diggs mesh with CJ Stroud. That's something obviously to pay attention to and to watch and look at because that's gonna, that's a combustible situation. So, but like you guys both mentioned, you and Eric, the head coach isn't going to put up with that. That has a shorter leash, a much shorter leash in Buffalo. So if he's not coming there with acting right, then that might be that could be it for him. That situation won't last long. Juju back with the Chiefs. Does that move you at all?
0.
Super Bowl winner, man. Super Bowl champion. We know how you like rings and things, and that doesn't move you at all?
No.
Wow. Chubb starts the season on the PUP list. I mean, when the kid puts 600 pounds on his back, I mean, are we really?
Yeah, that's no physical contact, Cam. That just means he's still really, really strong and his knees are getting better. But yeah, he could use an extra 4 weeks. Yeah, I'm
Um,
on board with that.
um, wow. Yeah, doesn't simulate running and cutting and all that, but I mean, there has to be some strength there. So I was surprised to hear that it was on the PUP list. Who I was not surprised to hear was on the PUP list is Odell Beckham Jr. will start the season on the PUP list. I told you when they signed him, he will be a non-factor this year. That we're giving him club money for this year for 2024. He should be buying drinks for every club he attends this season because he's just stealing money from the Dolphins. TJ Hawkinson on the PUP list. How did that impact the Vikings?
Adversely, he's one of their biggest weapons, and they were hoping he was going to be out there, but again, with no quarterback to speak of. I mean, Darnold and just whoever else. He was going to be an integral part of that. And for a quarterback like Darnold, when things break down and there's not a lot to see out there, where's the first place you look? Where's the tight end? And he's one of those tight ends that gets open. So, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think he's been my tight end on fantasy football for the last 3 of the last 4 years, just because he continues to make plays. I know you don't think this is going to be a factor, but it is a factor. AJ Dillon out for the season with the neck injury. I'm not sure who they had behind him because he was the number 2 back behind Josh Jacobs. If they expect Josh Jacobs to, I don't think the anticipation was for Josh Jacobs to carry the ball 300 times this season. But with AJ Dillon out, that he's going to be hovering around that 300 carry mark, and not saying that he can't do it, but I mean he's going to be earning his money for sure. So that impacts their running game, the Green Bay Packers running game, because he was not only a short yardage guy, but he was a goal line guy, and he was a pounder, kind of that Thunder Lightning. He was a Thunder. Now I don't know what they're going to do without him. I don't know who's behind them, to be honest with you. So I think that's going to be impact. Do you expect that to impact the Packers running game?
For sure, which will impact my fantasy football drafting as well. So,
Packers trade for me. Those same Packers trade for Malik Willis. Did Malik? Did he and Jordan Love play in Little League together? Did they go to the same boys club? I mean, I don't understand this move here. Or is it do they have a mobile quarterback in Jordan Love and Malik Willis can learn how to do this during the season, and should they need him, he's already been in position because he's a similar type quarterback. Instead of them going to like a traditional drop back quarterback, they have a mobile quarterback who knows how to do the similar things. Is that how you see that?
Yeah, just a great insurance policy, and they were pretty sure that they didn't really need Malik Willis breathing down Will Levis's neck on the sidelines, and best to just get rid of him. And hey, we'll take him 6th round. Yeah, sure.
Cleveland, who would you say is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL? I have a list of 5 guys here. Let's see if these 5 guys match your 5 guys.
The most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yes.
Huh.
Now, there's 2 guys in here I know you're going to mention, but the other 2 guys I'm not sure you're going to mention.
Okay, well, I would say Trevor Lawrence is probably quite high on that list.
Trevor Lawrence is not. He's on the list. He's not one of the guys I knew you were mentioning though, but he's on the list.
Oh, you want me to go with just the no-brainer? You want me to come off the top?
2 guys. 2 guys I know you're going to list.
He plays in San Francisco.
Oh my goodness.
Brock Purdy.
No, I figured you have come off of
You
that.
knew I was coming.
I-
No. You knew I was coming with that.
I figured you'd come off. I figured you would
No,
come away from that by now.
He's still overrated. Brock Purdy. Geno Smith.
Well, come on, he's not even rated. Come on, cut it out.
Okay, so he's not on the list. Okay, overrated.
I mean, come on. Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith. We know is a average quarterback, but when Josh Allen leads the list. Geno Smith, man, you got to handle him with kid gloves. I keep telling you, man. You put him in a good situation. You talk to him right. You make sure the water temperature, his water is at 72 degrees when you give it to him. He's going to be good for you.
Yeah, he's an iguana. Yeah, if the climate is exactly right for him, yeah, he might, be able to walk around and stuff. Stretch his legs a little bit. Justin Herbert.
That's the one guy I knew you would be mentioning.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 4 on my list of overrated. Let's see.
You have Brock Purdy, the guy who's been in 2 NFC championships in his career.
So got one more quarterback.
There's 2 more. I don't count Brock Purdy. That's just you just being stubborn. The guy's been to 2 NFC championships in his 2 years.
I believe Kyler Murray's a little over his skis.
Ooh, I don't have Kyler Murray.
Okay, that's by 5.
So Jalen Hurts not overrated. Tua Tagovailoa is not overrated.
Oh,
I mean, should have known, but you should have known. Kyler Murray, okay. Most underrated quarterback, and I'll start the list with Brock Purdy, most underrated quarterback.
Okay, well, most underrated, I'm gonna go with probably Jared Goff.
Jared Goff is on the list.
Matt Stafford is quite underrated.
Matt Stafford is on this list
for what he does.
I wasn't sure you'd agree with me there, but I have Matt Stafford on this list.
Here, if we're still rolling here. AFC West, no. NFC underrated. I think Jalen Hurts is underrated.
Okay.
You probably have somebody like Baker Mayfield on your list, huh?
No.
Underrated. I need 2 more.
I have Jordan Love, and then I have one guy. That I might have to sell you.
Who's your I guess on now?
Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't get enough credit.
No. Gets all the credit in the world, so no.
What's good, Dak?
I believe
what's good, Boots.
Boots, I was kind of thinking
is
Dak
underrated?
Underrated.
I got Patrick Mahomes is underrated, man. He's the greatest quarterback we've ever seen, and there's still other top.
Even though there's still more to do, but no, they treat him as such.
Eric had the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Wow.
I was the Chargers. I didn't talk enough about the Chargers.
That is someone that has been at training camp every day, and I have to take him at his word that he's serious about it. I was waiting to hear the Baltimore Ravens. I was waiting to hear the New York Jets. I was waiting to hear the Houston Texans. He went straight to the Chargers. Like, okay, maybe he's clearly seeing something that we're not seeing.
Well, they're going to have a better running game. They're going to run the ball, and
cool. They're going to be better at a lot of things, Cameron. But he said the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
So we did our preliminary predictions a couple weeks ago. Preliminary predictions. What we'll do this week is pick our division winners. Okay. Next week we'll predict our playoff bracket, and then our what am I looking for? Our season awards. Next week we'll predict our playoff bracket and our season awards. So this week, Cleveland, I have winning the AFC East. I have Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East. You have the Jets. Are you sticking with the Jets?
Sticking with it.
I have the Chiefs winning the AFC West. You sticking with the Chiefs? I had the Bengals winning the AFC North over the Browns coming in last. The Steelers will have a better record than them. I have the Ravens. I mean, they're gonna be competing. They're gonna be fighting it out. The Ravens and the Bengals. I just think the Ravens are going to take a step back, and the Bengals are going to sneak in there. But I need Jamar Chase to get get suited up. I need him to play. Do you have the Ravens? You pick the Ravens. Do you still have the Ravens winning this division?
Still have the Ravens.
And the weakest division in the NFL is the Texans, Jaguars, Titans, and Colts. The Titans and Jaguars are not competing with the Texans for that division crown, and it's going to be the Texans. You still agree?
Still agree.
Boot, you have the Dolphins winning the division.
Ooh, that's the one. That's the one disagreement. I go Jets. He goes Dolphins. You go Bengals and Bills. So you guys disagree on 2 of the 4. Me and Boots is on 3 of the 4.
Boots, I'm writing this down. Boots, I'm writing this down. This goes on paper. We're gonna be able to revisit this, Boots. So Boots have Chiefs. This is
Texans like the both of us, so he agrees on those 2. And then
I mean, I can't be mad at the Dolphins. I just don't think it's gonna happen. And the Ravens, okay, that's fair enough. Just let me finish taking this note. Excuse me. I'm taking notes, Boots, now. NFC East, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. I got Eagles. I predicted Eagles, and I'm sticking with the Eagles. You got the Cowboys. Eric got the Cowboys going to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of attrition on that side. I'm switching to the Eagles on that one.
Yeah. NFC West, 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals. I got the 49ers winning this one.
Niners.
Oh, who's the Niners quarterback, Clement?
Brock Purdy.
So he's going to win a third division championship, and you still going to rate him as overrated next year?
Yes.
All you can do is keep beating the teams in front of you. This guy over here. NFC North, Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings. I got the Packers winning this division. You had the Lions this division. Are you sticking with the Lions?
I'm going to give it to the Lions. Mm-hmm.
You're sticking to the Lions and Jared Goff.
Yeah.
What happened to all that Bears talk you've been talking all summer long? Since February, you've been talking Bears. Caleb is going to be the next coming, and Rome is going to be John Stallworth. I mean,
the Detroit Lions are going to win the division.
Wow, those Bear fans are a little disappointed to hear you say this.
Hey man,
especially
I'm just saying that.
Did the Caleb and Rome's jersey come on the same day, or did you have staggering that was one this week and one next week, or did they arrive on the same day? That's my question.
I'm making my pick for a very specific reason.
He doesn't want to jump on the band. He doesn't. Oh, this little reverse psychology, huh? Don't want to jump on the bandwagon too soon to put any more pressure.
I didn't say that. I just want the world to know what should happen. I just want the world to know what should happen.
And then fans, next season, he's going to come back and say, "Oh, like he did with the Houston Texans and admit they overperformed last year. He would never admit that in 12 months until the foray to the preseason of a new season. He finally admits that they overperformed. That's pretty funny how he does that. But he held on to them guys being the greatest team, and Stroud being the greatest rookie since Justin Herbert. But finally admit that
Oh no, he was a way better rookie than Justin Herbert. Cut that out. You want some playoff games? Sure did.
Low blow. NFC South: Falcons, Buccaneers, Saints, Panthers. Who do you have winning this division?
You know, I was thinking the Bucks, but you know, everybody keeps trying to sell me on all these weapons the Falcons have in their new offense. I'm pretty much sold at this point that maybe it's not going to be the Bucks, but you know, I kind of like what Todd Bowles is doing down there, but not, you know, he's got Raheem on the other side, so it's like with more weapons. So it's like, okay, I'll take the bait, the Falcons.
So you're changing your pick to the Falcons. Ain't that something? Boy, it doesn't take much to sway you, does it?
Well, it has to be empirical evidence that I see in front of my face, typically. But, you know, if enough of the pundits just keep hitting you over the head, well, we got Boots. Oh, wow. That's way different. Okay.
Yeah, he's sticking with his picks. He's going with the Bucks, the Packers, the Rams, and the Cowboys to win their division.
Wow, we don't agree on anything.
Yeah, I don't know the Cowboys, bro. I don't know if the Cowboys are gonna get it done. The Rams. I mean, you expecting the 49ers just to fall off the face of this earth.
Well, I mean, he has a point here, right, Kim? There is no Brandon Ayuk, and Trent Williams isn't signed either. And we saw what they did without Trent Williams last year, right?
They'll be there. Settle down.
See, where's all your optimism coming from? Are you talking to their agents?
No. They have a Super Bowl opportunity online.
On speed dial? What are you talking about?
They have a Super Bowl opportunity online. That's the reason that Trent Williams is trying to force a holdout, because he knows how good this team is and he knows how much better they are with him. So he's in a perfect position to say, yo, I need some more money, because I know what you guys' hopes are, and I know with me what you guys expect to get done. The same with Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk cannot. My question. So that's Trent Williams. So Trent Williams, they'll take care of him. Give him $3 million, like Eric said. Give him a little sweetener. You know, pay off his house this year. Whatever they have to do to get him to come in the camp. And as Eric mentioned, your boy Walter Jones never played. He didn't play any preseason. He didn't participate. He's good enough that he can come off. He can come off the couch.
Him every year.
I'm sorry.
So the difference is that they franchised him every year.
Right. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, they're just gonna have to sweeten the pot for Trent Williams. Brandon Ayuk. What I don't understand is okay. They paid. It's kind of like the CD Lamb situation. They paid Deebo Samuels. Do you think you're better than Deebo Samuels?
Yeah.
If he thinks he deserves more money than Deebo Samuels, he might not play this year.
He's becoming a free agent at a different time than Deebo did.
No.
Deebo plays the position differently than Brandon Ayuk.
If he thinks he's better than Deebo Samuels, there's kind of he's misunderstanding his value, because truthfully, they both need each other. But Deebo's he's a bit better runner without the ball. Brandon Ayuk can get deeper and catch the bigger plays, but Deebo better run without the ball. They both are great blockers, so they need each other. Neither one of them, I think they're like they're B++ receivers, the two of them. Without the other one, they need them. They need each other to work. So I think that's what I don't understand. Where does Ayuk place his value? If he just sees the money and I want to get this contract, and not looking at how his contract plays with the team, that he's not being logical. So that could be the breakdown in that situation. But I think I'm hoping that they see that these guys are on a Super Bowl trajectory with them on the team, and they come to their senses and say, okay, damn the money. We can get there and win a Super Bowl. And that Super Bowl, now you can say Super Bowl winner, Brandon Ayuk, Super Bowl champion, Trent Williams. And that should add value to any TV show you go on, any podcast you go on, any celebrity show you tend to participate with. When they can say Super Bowl champion in front of your name, that adds value that you're losing here in this deal here. In my opinion, that's what I think. Either the Cowboys or the Eagles in the East, West Cowboys, because I don't trust the Eagles. Defense
is a little suspect, and the head coach is a little on the schizo.
The Eagles had problems. Their problem was they couldn't cover anybody late in the season. Now they brought in a new defense coach, and they addressed that. They drafted 3 cornerbacks, like 3 of the top. 2 of them were the top cornerbacks in the draft. So I think they addressed that situation. They got Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is going to be McCaffrey light, so he's going to take a lot of pressure off of Jalen Hurts. They already had 2 of that receiving core was already among the best with just Brown and Smith. Now they had Dawson.
He was saying Sirianni, not necessarily the offensive.
No. He doesn't trust the defense or the head coach. But I'm saying, this is what I'm telling you. The defense, they addressed the defense because the defense couldn't cover anybody. They drafted 3 cornerbacks, 2 of them being the top cornerbacks in the draft last year. That addresses that issue. They bring in Vic Fangio, who's historically been a pretty good defensive coordinator. The head coach, I mean, they brought in. Don't they have Kellen Moore? Don't the Eagles have Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, who was pretty successful? I didn't like really what he did in the Chargers. That his success in the Chargers didn't move me, but his success with the Cowboys is evident that he can get something out of the quarterback, the running back, and the receiving core. And they have 3 now with Dotson. They have a legitimate 1, 2, 3 receiving core with Saquon and Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Now you can do the RPO with Saquon and Hurts. Who you stopping? Like, who you stopping? I trust the 3 rookies. Again, these were Saquon is overhyped and always hurt. There's some truth to that. He has an injury history. Do I trust the 3 rookies? The 3 rookies you couldn't do any better than that. And 2 of the 3 guys, you couldn't do any better than that in the draft.
But they 3 rookies. I mean, all SEC is different than all pro.
Again, what year is your guy in Texas in for the Texas? This is 2nd or 3rd year. What's the cornerback for Texas?
Derek Stanley Jr.
Yeah, what's this year? What's this year for him?
Either second or 3rd.
2nd or 3rd year, but he was pretty good when he was pretty good as a rookie, right? What's your guy for the Jets? What's your guy for Sauce? Sauce was pretty good. Sauce was pretty good as a rookie, right?
That's like the 2 and the 4 pick in the draft. So is Witherspoon. You just said 3 guys that they drafted on that side.
2 again. They got 3 guys, yes, but
were any of them top 10?
They were the top. 2 of them were the top 3 cornerbacks you can get in the draft. The top 3. So nobody drafted a cornerback until the Eagles took the first guy, and then they got this guy early in the 2nd round. Those were the top 2 of the top 3 cornerbacks to get 2 of the top 3 cornerbacks to get drafted in the draft. The Eagles got them, so that addresses that issue. Do I count on them? That addresses that issue. You couldn't do any better than that than go get Stephon Gilmore, who it could be we could say is long in the tooth. So I'm just saying simply they addressed the issue. They addressed their issue. Do I trust them? Obviously they're gonna have rookie. I mean they're gonna be rookies. but the situation is their offense is going to be able to play ball control offense, put points on the board, and to where these guys are going to be able to grow in their position. That's my anticipation. Yeah, and Kellen, you got me there. You got me there. This is his third year. He was with the Cowboys. They let scapegoated him. Mike McCarthy scapegoated him. He ended up with the Eagles, he ended up with the Chargers a day later. Okay, that we saw the Chargers were a dumpster fire with Brandon Staley, and now he's got a different opportunity. But he has tools. So he has tools like he had a younger Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, etc. He has tools now to work with. So I think they'll be better on offense. I certainly do. I think they'll be much better on offense. So we'll see. I'm predicting them to win the division. I'm predicting them to win the division. So yeah. So we have big healthy NFL's back, y'all. NFL's back next week. We're gonna have picks. Please tune in. The Sunday special. We only have one more. This version is going to be our fantasy football draft on Sunday. So NFL is back, fans, because next week we're going to be going through our predictions again for the playoff predictions. We're going to pick a Super Bowl winner, and then we're also going to pick our seasons, the full season awards. We're going to have USA Today correspondent, NFL writer Tyler Dragon join us, also coming off his trip to Paris for the Olympics. So we will revisit the Olympic conversation as well, and then we're talking to him right before he gets on the plane to go to Sao Paulo. So that'll be interesting to get his anticipation for Packers Eagles coming up. So stay tuned, fans. This is the NFL. This is all NFL every week. We're gonna have a lot of conversation about the NFL. So stick with us, fans. And we appreciate those of you who have stuck with us thus far, but continue to stick with us. Now, Cleveland, let's jump into this topic. Again, it was a lot's been said over the last few days about your guy, Anthony Edwards, saying outside of Jordan, there was no talent in the NBA. We heard Isaiah say propaganda works. Be careful what you choose to believe. We heard Magic say, I don't even acknowledge anyone who hasn't won a championship. Magic didn't want to have the conversation. Magic, that I can't even acknowledge that right there. And then we have Kevin Garnett. Him and Paul Pierce went in on, I don't know, did you hear their conversation? Kevin Garnett says, yeah, truthfully, half of these players couldn't even make an NBA team 20, 25 years ago. When do we hear Anthony Edwards backtrack his comments?
You won't ever hear him backtrack. That's just not in his nature. He believes wholeheartedly what he believes. Some of it is naivete, and some of it is just the Jordanites brainwashing him to think that that's the only player that ever existed before the Heat played. So, that's kind of where he's going with that. And
I want to take a shot at folks that acknowledge who the true GOAT is.
No, because look at what it manifests itself into. This dude will tell you that Jordan was the only player from back then that could play now. Does that make sense?
Okay. So if we
But if you grow up watching nothing but Jordan highlights, and everyone tells you that Jordan is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and there's never been before or since anyone better than Michael Jordan, and you watch The Last Dance, all 10 episodes of it, and you absorb it, and you've been wearing Jordan since you were 2 years old, but never actually saw Jordan play in person.
That's the influence.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's what you're going to go with, and that's fine.
But in Cleveland, so we have to do this. We have to acknowledge what was said initially. The first line before he went on his little, I wouldn't even call it a rant, before he made his statement, the very first line he says, I didn't watch the game. So I don't know because I didn't watch. So I mean, he should have the interview again. You open as an interviewer, you bring up a topic, you warm the subject up, you bring up a topic, and you let them talk. You don't cut them off. You don't try to interject your thoughts. You just let them talk, warm them up, and let them go. Like what was the game? Where the motorcycle game where you pull the string and you just let the motorcycle go. A little, I think it was an Evel Knievel bike or something. You just pull the string and you let it go, right? And it goes on and runs, halfway across the room. As an interviewer, that's what you do. You warm the guy up, pull the string, and let him go. And that's what the interview did. And so the interview, he should acknowledge when he said, I don't know, I didn't watch. But from everybody says there was so much talent, but Michael Jordan was the only one who had talent. And that's when they saw Kobe, and it was like, oh my goodness. Well, dude, there was a lot more talented players between Michael and Kobe. Like, to Edwards' part, he has to walk that back. He has to walk it back. He's gonna have to walk that back. Because my question for him is, okay, since you started off the statement by saying, acknowledging that you didn't watch the game, do you feel you need to? Did you even watch any more basketball from the 80s and 90s, or do you feel you need to apologize to some of those players for 80s and 90s? I couldn't say apologize because that brings the connotation that you were absolutely wrong. So do you have to? Do you feel you need to put out a warning of some sort to those guys? Put out an olive branch or something to those guys. Those are two things I would ask Anthony Edwards when and if I had the chance to have that conversation with them. These New England players are new fans, need to understand how easy the game is.
Are all about
because they opened the game up. They opened the game up for scoring purposes. Like they don't want the 78 to 82 game anymore, where it's all defense and you got the forearm in the back and you can't score.
Your players score easier and all that. Yeah.
So they opened the game up. I mean, that's what they should understand. Netflix, October 9, Netflix will release the starting five. I wonder if you know who produces this show. But the show follows Tatum, Edwards, Sabonis, Jimmy Butler, and LeBron. Now, you don't like the Hard Knocks. Will you watch the Spring Hill production of the starting five?
Probably not.
Okay, well, your guy LeBron says initially he said he didn't want Bronny calling him dad on the court, but he changed his mind. What do you think? Does Bronny James call him dad on the court?
It's a horrible look, isn't it?
I mean, it a horrible look. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I'm with you, Mosby. It's kind of weird, but that adds lore to LeBron's that adds to LeBron's lore though. It does. I mean, that's I'm sorry, fam.
Cam, my Kobe is tripping out right now. Real quick, can I get a quick minute?
Yeah, let's take a hot break, man.
I'll take a hot break, man. I'll be right back. So sorry.
Fans, I think that adds to LeBron's lore. his son playing with him. His son being on the court with him adds to his lore. But how much will his son play? And everybody has seen the meme of LeBron with his hands out questioning J.R. J.R. Smith when he got the rebound down. He was down one and got the rebound and didn't put it back up, and I actually drove out to the free throw line or the 3-point line, and LeBron was looking at J.R. Smith like, "What are you doing?" I mean, how soon before we see that meme? A legitimate picture of LeBron chastising his son on the court. How long will it be before then? That's going to be that's going to be kind of my anticipation. I think that's going to happen sooner than later. But how many? Are you guys interested in the Netflix special, the starting five? Is that something that kind of the receiver and the quarterback? The NFL had their receiver and quarterback show. Now they're bringing that to Netflix and to the NBA. Does that interest you guys, Bootzilla, Mosby? Do you guys like those documentaries, behind the scenes kind of looks at the players? My personal opinion is I think overexposure can be a thing. Am I wrong in that statement? Do you guys believe overexposure is a thing? It can be a thing. I think overexposure can be a thing. What do you guys feel about that? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Boots say he has no interest. Appreciate the feedback. I think overexposure could be a thing.
So sorry, Cam. So while I was doing that crate training out of nowhere, sorry. You just can't say dad in the middle of the huddle, man. There's other professional millionaires, man. It's not
come on, Dad. Come on, Dad. Pass me the ball. Dad, I'm open. What do you mean? Dad, I was open on that play. Good play, Dad. Play, Dad.
Can you imagine when Dylan Brooks comes out to guard Bronny and he's out there yelling, Dad?
Dad, get him off me. Dad, get him off me.
Dad, I'm open. No, you have to find you got to find something else. 23 or 6. I mean, say that, man. I mean, just go with the number. But dad's not going to work. Or, middle name. At least middle name.
At least a middle name. Come on with it. You don't want to call him LJ?
LJ might work. But dad's not going to work, man. That's not going to work in any away arena. And the players are just going to laugh and throw things at him, man. Come on now.
Oh my goodness,
Dad.
Oh my! You say the players. I mean, they know they know the situation. They already know.
See, okay, so Jordanites, I'll throw you a bone. If it was Jordan and his son was playing and he said Dad, everybody would just be like, okay. It's Jordan's son.
Again, I think
kind of like John Gotti walking into a place and saying Dad. Okay.
I think this adds to LeBron's lore. I think this just adds to regardless of what Bronny does on the court.
It adds to the ridiculousness and the circus of it if his son is out there saying Dad all the time. That will never get old. That will be the biggest meme, the biggest rank, the biggest diss. I mean, comedians will make millions going on tour talking about this, man. Can't be running around the court calling your teammate Dad.
Yeah, it's gonna be funny. Cleveland, do you think like the NFL, have you seen the quarterback special that they did with on Netflix with the quarterback? They followed I remember
quarterbacks. I saw
Mariota around. They followed him around.
Yeah, That was
this
good.
season.
Receiver.
Was it?
Saw
Yeah,
that.
you saw a receiver. Okay,
Oh,
so they're doing the same thing with the starting five, and I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
there's some overexposure with this, especially for LeBron. I think it's overexposure for LeBron. Tatum, Edwards, Anthony Edwards, Sabonis, Jimmy Butler, maybe not so much. I think for LeBron it's overexposure. Do you agree with that? And then Boots is kind of agree. Too much is too much. Do you agree with this or no?
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think basketball is a little bit harder to do. I mean, notice that those other sports are only like 16 games. I mean, it's a much, more condensed, and, there's only a few of them. Well, I guess about the same number. But, you take things away from all of the, all of the series. Is like the one that I wanted to slap John Schneider in his face when I heard Amon-Ra had a. Did you see the receivers, by the way?
I got to like episode 3. I didn't see it all.
Okay, so you saw Amon-Ra St. Brown had a list of receivers taken for him, like the Brady Six.
Yeah.
And when I saw D. Eskridge for the Seahawks was on that list, man, it took me like 3 days to calm down.
Well, Eskridge, he just had a kick return, a punt return.
Got waived.
Huh?
Nope, just got waived.
Just got waived?
Yeah.
So did you like college football? Did you see Amon-Ra playing in college at USC?
No, not really.
He was a guy who just got open. He just got open. And he wasn't a big guy, he wasn't a super fast guy. He just simply got open. I think the quarterback he played with might be on a red shirt, not red shirt. What do they call it? It's not red shirt. He might be on his 4th team now, playing in another year. Huh?
Practice squad?
No. The quarterback he played with in college, so that was 4 years ago, I think he's been in the transfer portal a few different times.
Oh.
So he might be at a 4th different school. But he just got open. His quarterback was supposed to be a star as a freshman. So I covered USC that season. And Amon-Ra just got open. It wasn't super. It wasn't super fast. Wasn't quick. He just got open. And
it's one of those things, man. When you miss that terribly, we have to talk about it.
But I'm just saying that miss. Now I don't know who Eskridge. I never saw it. Well, Eskridge had some explosive plays down south, right? But at USC, Amon-Ra St. Brown, like you knew he would. I saw he would be consistent if that translated, and it translated, and he just gets open in the NFL, and obviously Ben is a top 5 receiver, right? So you won't watch that. You say overexposure, huh? Cleveland. Now we had new friend of the show, Dave McMenamin, on a couple weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. Dave McMenamin just got married. I don't know if you saw it all over social media.
Who did he marry?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, the rumor is he's been dating Malika Andrews for the last couple of years.
And they got married?
They got married. Yeah, it's been all over social media.
Oh.
I was surprised at the traction that this situation has gotten. I'm surprised you are you, when you say who he married, are you joking? Like,
no, I didn't see any of that. I remember that you were kind of saying that was a rumor and you never confirmed it. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, I didn't think that was show worthy. I wasn't going to ask him about who was he dating on the air, but it was confirmed. So I texted him, congratulations. He responded. So that was pretty cool. But I was just surprised how much traction that's getting all over social media. It kind of blew my it kind of surprised me. I didn't think it was a big deal, but then a lot of social media acting like it was a big deal that she married a white dude, and kudos to Dave. Do your thing, Dave. Cleveland, let's talk about the WNBA. Who's having a better season this year, Cleveland? Caitlin Clark earlier this year. She set the WNBA single season rookie assist record. She's averaging 18 points a game. That's number 10. She's number 18 in 5.8 rebounds a game and number 1 in assists, 8.2 per game. Angel Reese become the fastest woman to collect 20 double doubles in a season. She's 28th in scoring at 13.5. She's number 1 in rebounds, 12.9 points per rebounds per game. Asia Wilson, she just coming off a night where she scored this season's high 42 points. This is the most points scored in a WNBA regulation game that didn't include overtime. And she's leading the league with 27.1 points per game. She's number 2 in rebounds at 11.7, and she's number 1 in blocks per game, 2.7. Who was having the better season, Cleveland?
Asia Wilson.
Asia Wilson, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You don't have to get mad with me, man.
Well, sure. I mean,
I'm just putting it out there. Who's leading the rookie of the year? Who's leading the rookie of the year campaign? Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark?
That's a different question. Man, earlier it was kind of a,
it was a walk away, right? Start the season, it was a walk away. Has Angel Reese narrowed it that much to make it an actual conversation?
Oh, I was going the other way. I thought Angel played better in the beginning, and Caitlin started to come around. And we talked about this on the show, man. Angel likes to pad her stats, man.
Oh,
straight up. I mean, right?
So the 12.9 rebounds, you think that's a team aided 12.9?
And sometimes they're misses by her. She's just taller. She just, gets Moses Malone type rebounds. You know what I'm saying?
Oh boy!
You remember how Moses used to get like 3 and 4 rebounds on the same possession?
On the same possession. Oh boy, that's a cold one right there.
He's doing that, bro, for real, right?
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. That's gonna be our NBA. Anything else you want to talk about in regards to NBA, WNBA? Did I miss anything this week?
I think I'm good with it. Dad is not a proper response in the locker room or on the court. Anthony Edwards probably needs to watch some more film, but he's not going to back down from that.
You don't think come on, he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to not apologize. If you can't ask a man for an apology, but can you maybe ask him to clarify it and to get a different response?
But there's nothing to clarify. It's that generation. All they know is Jordan and Kobe. They don't know anything else.
Shame on them.
No, not shame on them. Shame on us for that's all that we feed them. How else would they possibly know anything?
Come on, he saw Tim Hardaway. He saw the Texas two-step.
Where?
He saw the Heat and the Knicks. He saw the Heat and the Knicks battles.
No, he didn't.
Come on, what are you talking about?
Wait, this dude is 22 years old.
Okay, so that's
02.
That's 02.
So yeah, no, he didn't see any of that.
I mean, he grew up with Kobe. He grew up with Kobe. Who was Kobe playing against?
He doesn't remember. All he saw was Kobe.
Well, fans, something we do different than most other shows. Fan, we have our number game at the beginning of the show. We end the show with a quote. Got a special quote for you guys tonight. Then, right about now, after we mid show, we look at what happened in history with this week in history. Cleveland got some interesting stuff happened this time of the year, and interesting stuff happened this time of year in history. August 29, 1962, Mal Good makes history with the first African American television network commentator when he begins broadcasting on ABC. August 28, 1963, over 250,000 people participate in the Civil Rights March on Washington, D.C., making it the largest single demonstration in U.S. history, Cleveland. This is August 28th, 1963. Cleveland, if everybody saw videos and clips of this situation, Cleveland. I'm not sure anybody saw anyone in shorts. I'm not sure you saw anyone in t-shirts in Washington, D.C. in August, Cleveland. Do you know? Have you been to D.C. in August?
I have.
Cleveland, again, hot and humid. Okay. And some guys had full-length suits on, sport coats, overcoats. Cleveland, you know how musty that area had to be at the end of the day, as they confirmed. And this is a great our ancestors who planned and coordinated that march on Washington. I praise you. I thank you. Good work out of you. But my goodness, I'm glad I wasn't there, Cleveland. Do you know? Have you seen one person in shorts? Have you seen one person in all the video footage you've seen of that march on Washington? Anybody in shorts?
Although it may have been more appropriate given the weather and the humidity, no, I did not see any of that.
My goodness. The same. I just urge you fans to just go watch Martin Luther King. This October 28, 1963.
And you know what, Cameron? You know what? The black and white doesn't help, right?
Well,
no. The black and white footage doesn't help because it doesn't really.
No. You see
how hot it is out there.
No, right? Absolutely.
So absolutely. Kind of like a cloudy day. It's like, no, it wasn't cloudy.
What was the? I mean, what was people out there passing out waters? Like they didn't have your man. Like your man is standing outside Climate Pledge Arena, passing out water for $1, or SoFi Staples Center in LA. When you leave the arena, there's people out there selling you vendors selling you hot dogs and cold water for $5. I'm sure that wasn't happening back in 1963. Okay, so not only were you parched, you was hot, sweaty, and musty. But I thank you guys for going out there and picketing for a better life. But boy, oh boy, I tell you what, boy, oh boy. And if you walked there to DC, first of all, back there, a lot of people were walking. I'm sure our people who marched on Washington didn't have hotels across the street from the Lincoln Memorial. I'm sure they walked into town, right? So they had to turn around and walk out of town. Boy, oh boy. Oh my goodness. There was some showers working that day, boy, working overtime.
That's true. But Kim, remember you're a 206 cat now. I remember when I was down in the 305 doing an internship, and I just cannot believe people were walking around with long sleeve shirts and sometimes jeans, and like, wow. Like I have to change clothes 3 times a day.
Your body, it does take your body time and moments to.
And they were just like they could like gauge like the temperature. Like for me, it was always just like, oh my God, it's like it's 187 degrees out here. Like every day felt like that. They were like, oh, it's about 85, oh, it's about 92. Like they could tell the temperature change difference. Like
yeah, I urge you guys to go watch clips of Michael or Martin Luther King's Jr. I Have a Dream speech, and just look in the crowd, look at the audience, and just look at the attire that they had on during this. I know that
a lot of people wearing white now. You have to.
Okay.
They were
long sleeves and jeans, and still had slacks and coats. Boy,
there was a lot of that. There was a lot of the men, but the women they were they thought better of it.
There were some white. There was a lot of white out there. But today, August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King delivers "I Have a Dream" speech at the Lincoln Memorial. So thank you thank you for all you guys have done. But I just commented on kind of something that being in the South and having been in DC in August, like that was not a comfortable setting, guys. It was not a comfortable setting. What was the Million Man March? Was that in August as well?
I think it was very similar in time because I think they wanted to kind of make a parallel to it, but I don't remember the exact date of it.
Million Man March. That was an interesting thing too because I could have drove. I regret. That's one thing I regret not going to the Million Man March because I was 3 hours away. 1995. I was 3 hours away. I could have went down there, but we got threatened on a job, and I was like, and didn't want to make the drive. So it was a combination to do. It was October 16, 1995. So that was much more bearable weather at the Million Man March.
That's better planning. That's better planning.
Better planning right there. Yeah, it was. October 30th, 1966, Constance Baker Motley is confirmed as U.S. district judge and become the first Black woman on the federal branch. She also was the first African American woman elected to the New York State Senate in 1964. October 28, 1968, Reverend Channing E. Phillips of Washington, D.C. become the first African American to be nominated president by a major national party. October 27, 1986, Nigerian government is peacefully overthrown by Army Chief of Staff Major General Abraham Bigbangidia. I don't peaceful overthrow Cleveland. Isn't that a kind of an oxymoron there? October 27, 2008, Democratic National Convention Center made Senator Barack Obama the first African American ever nominated by a major party as the party's presidential candidate. Cleveland. Now this wasn't one event, but this kind of event lasted over time. Interested in kind of what do you remember about this? But August 29, 2005, Cleveland. You remember that day? October 29, 2005. Hurricane Katrina devastates much of the United States Gulf Coast from Louisiana to Florida Panhandle, killing more than 1,800 people, causing over 115 billion in damages. Like that. Like CNN covered that exquisitely. Yeah, it was October. It was in October. You heard Boots. Thanks for tuning in. Katrina, man, that seemed to go on. It wasn't the hurricane itself, but it was obviously the devastation, that left in its path was kind of the devastation, the story that kind of lived on. There was a few years later, watched the video of the girl and her family. She was documenting the kind of the scenario as much as she could of the storm, the water damage, how the water came into the house, and then how they were forced to go to the rooftop and sit on the roof until somebody came and rescued them. Like Cleveland, the water came to the roof. Cleveland, the second level. Like, could you imagine? Like, that's what got me, Cleveland, is okay, you get a little water damage, you get a little wind damage, okay, some of that's repairable. But the water forcing you to get to the rooftop, like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, oh my goodness, that was devastation at its finest. But Cleveland, the people had to sit on the rooftop for days because it took them 2 or 3 days for them to get the boat to go rescue these people. Man, I don't know what I would have done, Cleveland. Well, I'd have been in the car and been out of there. I'd have been on the road. But the problem was half of those people didn't have cars and couldn't get on the freeway. And not only I've been on one of those bridges. There's two ways out of New Orleans. I've been on one of them, and like driving, it's like maybe 3 times as long as the floating bridge. 520 is like 3 times as long. So if you're nervous about driving across a bridge or water, like that situation will heighten your nervousness. And then not being able to go nowhere, like because there's so much traffic trying to get out of town, like that would have been a problem. Like everything, it was just messed up down there. It was just messed up, and the devastation though. And then obviously we know what happened at the Superdome. Like, those who couldn't leave and didn't leave were forced to go to the Superdome, and then there's just countless stories of what happened at the Superdome. Right? No food, no water, no electricity. The storm. There's holes in that building. The criminal activity that also went on that these people were dealing with as well. Man, I feel for those people in New Orleans, man. I've met people who have not gone back to New Orleans because of that. Man, what do you recall? But what's your major takeaway from Hurricane Katrina, man?
My major takeaway is one, they were not prepared, and they kind of almost let it happen.
I don't know how you prepare. I don't know how you prepare for.
Well, I mean, when the levees broke,
14 feet of water rushing into the city.
It was possible for a long, long time, and they didn't feel like it was enough of a priority to do that, fix it. I think for me, like you're saying, like when people have to go, vertical, and then imagine the, type of faith that you must have to have. Like, it's like someone's gonna fly over here with like one of those ladders that we can climb up to. Like, it's not funny, but it's like, damn, like,
yeah. I mean, what do you do?
For days for like this ladder to come, like, and then it's like that's not an easy ladder to climb up, and it's like maybe some boats come through, and 2 or 3 of us can get out, and at a time, it's like, are you coming back for me? Yeah, we're coming back, and maybe they don't even come back. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. They take half the family, and where are they going? And that was a crazy thing. Okay, you take half the family,
and everybody's split up, and there's no way to communicate with one another. So it's like,
cell phones weren't a thing.
Yeah.
Cell phones weren't a thing for most
we're
people.
walking this direction, and we're trying to get to here. It's like, did you get there? Like it takes you like weeks. I mean, everybody was just so like, fragmented, and like the response was just so very nonchalant about it.
That was so wild, man.
Then I remember watching the, like when the levees broke, Spike Lee documentary, that 4-part thing, and kind of hearing Soledad O'Brien. That's kind of like when she made kind of like her not move, but like was one of the people that was like, on the ground, I'm saying boots on the ground, so to speak. So kind of her interpretation of what she saw, and just like, it's like you instantly feel, and what did Kanye West say after this?
Yeah, man.
Like black people. It's like otherwise he would have done something about this. It's like if this was in a different environment, wouldn't there be a little bit greater sense of urgency? You wouldn't just push everybody into like the biggest like facility in the city and just sit there till we can come and get you and help. It's like the response was just all over the place, man.
Yeah, but when half the city's underwater, like.
Yeah, and then but you also have to realize it's below sea level, right? So I mean, that's
right. That's what I'm saying. The half the city's underwater. It's like everything's underwater. Like, unless you got out of town, you were in trouble. And you were in trouble. And I feel sorry for those who didn't have the means. I don't want to say wherewithal, but just the means. If you didn't have a car, you couldn't go nowhere. Where are you going? If you didn't have somebody come pick you up in the truck, where are you going? You like, you got to stay in town.
And if they come and pick you up, where are they taking you to?
I mean, those road freeways were crowded, but people were going, to Mississippi. Some people were going to Mississippi. Some people were going to Houston.
When you
Like,
get there, and then what? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's like if you don't have
you're
family,
displaced.
if you don't have
Yeah,
money, a whole bunch of money, it's like how long can you
yeah,
stay there?
yeah, you're displaced, bro. You're going to stay with some families, hours away. One person told me they told me they went to Atlanta. Atlanta's like 7-8 hours away. It's like, you went to Atlanta? Like, I mean, they were just trying to get away.
A
And
bunch of people went to Houston. I've heard a bunch of people. I've
going
heard
to
of
Houston,
stories of people
they
going to
flooded
Houston,
Mississippi.
like, oh, Houston's pretty cool. Yeah, we're not going back.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's not funny, but like they got to Houston, it was like, oh, okay,
Yeah, we can make this work.
we can make this work.
Yeah, man, tragic situation, but that was just, man, I don't CNN, bro. I'm living in LA, 75 degrees every day, and what they were equating it to was the what you call it, the earthquake that hit in 92, 93 that shut everything down. In Oakland, but then Northridge had
89 in the Bay Area or
Northridge had one in the 90s and early 90s that kind of really messed up the valley part of Southern California. Northridge is in the valley, but impacted that. I mean, I was in earthquake. I could just pray that earthquake never hit us. I've been in one at the house in Los Angeles. I've been in a few of them, but it comes and goes so quickly. But I was sitting I was sitting at the dining room table in Los Angeles, and I'm sitting there working, and the TV's on. I was on the computer, and I just felt out of nowhere, just like the house did the wave. It literally just waved like this. And I'm looking around, it's like, but it was over. I was like, what the heck? What was that? Oh, and then we get on the news. Oh, we just had a 5.2 up in 30 miles away. It was like, oh, that's what that was. That was an aftershock. Like, but it comes and goes that fast. Versus, having water just keep reach to the ceiling. Like, it was over. I mean, nothing happened. Graciously, nothing happened. It's not the rumble. I guess Seattle had a bigger earthquake. In my time in Los Angeles, Seattle had a bigger earthquake than what I've been through in Los Angeles. Because I remember that earthquake where stuff was actually rumbling and shaking.
Yeah, no, I was in that one. That one was
what, 2000s, the mid-aughts or something? Had to be the mid-aughts.
That was 2001.
What, one?
Yeah.
No, it might have been 2 or 3 because I remember exactly where I was when I heard about that. I remember exactly where I was when I heard about that, and then I had to call.
Okay, maybe so. I thought it was before I got married. Maybe not. 2 or 3. It was somewhere between 1 and 3. But
Yeah.
That one was crazy
because that was bigger than anything I've been in Los Angeles.
And that one wasn't even like the big one that we're expecting, but that one was big enough to know, like, oh man, when that big one comes, it's going to be so crazy. But no, at first it sounds like a train is like coming through because I was in an office building, like maybe like the 5th floor of like maybe a 6th floor building.
Okay.
And so it just sounds like a train is coming through the building. Like what is going on upstairs? Like why? How? Like how do you make that noise? And then all of a sudden, the building actually, because they build them on rollers, right?
Yeah.
The building is actually going back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh wow, this is like an earthquake. So everyone goes and to the earthquake emergency area. You're either underneath a doorway or you're underneath a desk. Yeah, it's just like way loud, right? And so I just remember everyone always says earthquakes last about 30 seconds. And I just remember having the resolve even though the building was like moving back and forth, and like, come on, man, the building's moving back and forth. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Counting to 30. And I just remember I got to like 26 and it stopped.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, the ones I've been through, it happens real quick, man. It happened real quick, and it was over.
But yeah, it's nerve wracking for sure. And that, like you're saying, so okay, so then the aftermath of that, right, is you come out, right, and no, you're again.
So wait. So you grew up doing the earthquake drill, right? The earthquake drill where you get under the table and you lock your hands. Did you get under the table and lock your hands?
I didn't lock my hands, but I did get under the table. Okay. I counted to 30.
Okay.
Like they said, and I got to 26. But then when it was time to leave, it's like complete chaos, right? Because none of the streetlights are working. Like some of like the the gates that like they car out, they don't work.
Get out of the garage.
Yeah, fortunately we were one of the ones who could get out. Some people can't get out.
Yeah.
And it's just like this chaos. It's just like it took me like 4 hours to get home, and it was like I live, like half an hour away.
Yeah. But yeah, so you're not prepared for those situations. But that earthquake. I remember that being bigger than anything I've been to in the 20 years I was in LA. August 30th, 1983, Guillaume Bluford became the first African American in space. His first mission was STS-8, which launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. August 27th, 2004, the U.S. Team USA loses to Argentina, 89-82, dropping USA basketball from gold medal contention for the first time since NBA players were allowed to participate. I wonder who was the star of that team?
Manu Ginobili.
No, you went right straight to the competitor. Who was the star of the U.S. team, Team USA?
Oh, the answer. Allen Iverson.
Ooh, you just threw it. Take shots fired.
Wasn't he the star, or did I miss that?
Yeah, he was. October 27, 2000. October 26, 2017. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. They fought for and earned. That was the first fight. Did you watch that fight? Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather.
I did.
$3.5 million total they made. That was pretty interesting. Oh, look at you, Duncan. I don't know if Duncan was the star over the answer. But then that team had talent. Stephon Marbury was on that squad, wasn't he? That team had talent. They just couldn't pull it together.
Are you trying to say 5 million people watched the fight?
No, it grossed $3.184 million.
No.
That's a 2.6 domestically, 5,600 or 56,000.
It has to be viewers, because didn't Floyd make $100 million for that fight?
But they get paid. Just their pay wasn't on this. I don't think this is Showtime numbers. I don't think this takes in count the what you call it, the pay-per-view. Yeah, it probably doesn't take account the pay. October 26, 2024. Cleveland. Trivia question.
Okay.
Who's the only player in league history to play for both teams in one game?
That guy a couple of days ago, and that's such a weird.
This happened. The game got canceled. The Blue Jays and Red Sox got canceled, and then he gets traded from the Red Sox or from the Blue Jays to the Red Sox, and then they finish the game. He finished the game with the Red Sox. So the trivia question you guys got tonight is the only player in Major League Baseball history to play for two teams in one game. Cleveland, any thoughts? Any interest in the Paralympics? No.
I hope it inspires a lot of people to continue to be, athletic and
Cut it out, Cleveland.
that's
Cut it.
real.
You tried. You tried. Just say no. Just say no interest. He tried with the line. I hope it inspires somebody
I
to go
do.
out there and give their best.
I'm
Cut
not
it
trying
out.
to seem like I'm not dissing it, their
No,
whole
cut it
thing,
out. Well, you
but
tried
now
to
I'm not
make a wish.
watching.
You tried to read the make a wish line real quick, didn't you? I will say something, fans. This in my journey as a journalist, one of the reasons I'm anxious to get back to Los Angeles is Angel City. Angel City Sports is the organization that focuses on adaptive sports, given and the word is adaptive is not is what you and I might think of handicap, but the word is actually adaptive sports and the Paralympics. And I didn't do them enough. I didn't do them justice with the stories. I could have did. I did a story on a company. I could have did a story on each individual, um, and their courage and their commitment. Cleveland. Cleveland. I met a wheelchair basketball player, and this guy had no had no control of the left side of his body. Um, excuse me. He had no control of the left. Like he was he was confined to a wheelchair. Had no control of his left limb, his left leg. He can control his upper body, but he was limp because he didn't have full control because he was stuck in the wheelchair like to the side. And what caught my eye into this guy about this particular dude was that he came in his wheelchair and was the fastest guy up and down the court in the wheelchair. And I'm there again to talk about the different activities that this Angel City Sports had for these guys with you know uh, adaptive athletes. And then I was like, "Yo, let me talk to you, man." I was like, "How long you been playing basketball?" Oh man, I just started playing basketball with Angel City Sports, and I'm so glad that they put this thing together because I have nobody to compete with. Like I can't compete with my brother because he's able body is what they call him. I can't compete with my dad. He doesn't know what it's like to be in a wheelchair. I have nobody to have fun with, and they're running around playing tag and playing football and baseball, and I can't play because I'm in a wheelchair. But when I came here, I got to compete like they play. I got to play here. And I just thought I mean, he had me right there. But this kid was just so fast up and down the court in the wheelchair. I mean, it wasn't the greatest shot, but it was all about just getting out there, sweating a little bit. That was so inspiring. Um, they had so they put us able-bodied people in a wheelchair. It was like, okay, now you try to go up and down the court and then dribble the ball. Man, now I'm not going to claim that I was Ross Strickland, uh, 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 just able body Rob Strickland, but on a you have me dribbling the ball in a wheelchair, it's even uglier. And these guys are dribbling the ball in a wheelchair, shooting jumpers, getting rebounds. Like that was like you got to feel once you sat down in a wheelchair and try to do these moves and try to dribble the ball in front of you, try to dribble with your right hand, try to dribble with your left hand, confined to the wheelchair. Like that's a challenge in itself. But these guys are overcoming the challenge because they want to have fun. They're doing it through sports. Um, they had the. I'm just telling you guys which was so inspiring to me, and this is what I remember. And I just did. There was one story, man. I can't wait to retell that story. Um, in so much of a better, more concise way. They were playing volleyball, but most of the people playing volleyball, Cleveland had no legs. So they're like, okay, you can play this, Cameron, you can play this. You get down on a volleyball court, and you have to sit down and try to move around sitting down. Like try to drag your body around, sitting down to go get the ball and hit the ball. And this one girl was just like she couldn't miss. You couldn't get the ball by her. I'm my butt's hurting as I'm on the floor trying to my butt's hurting on the floor just trying to do that, just trying to sit and be comfortable. Not let alone the ball coming to me and me trying to do something with the ball, right? And then these guys are just moving around like nothing. Like it was like wow, you really get a feel. And with the again adaptive sports with this what they did is they try to put the able-bodied person into that situation. Now, obviously, I could get up and walk away, uh, but I try to fit into their element. Um, the little kids, so obviously, shooting the basketball, just like little kids, they lower the rim for the kids under 10, right? They lower the rim. So the one girl she couldn't get the ball to the hoop, right? She couldn't, so she tried to get, and everybody's circling, but she couldn't get the ball. She didn't have enough in it to get the ball to the hoop. So everybody's like, okay, give it one more try. The guy will lower the hoop just a little bit more. So she tried again. She can't get the ball to the guy lowers the hoop just a little bit more. She tries it the third time. She doesn't make it. Guy lowers the hoop a little bit more. So finally, I think it was like the fifth try. The hoop is right here. She finally gets the ball in the hoop, Cleavon. And the whole gym erupts. Like Steph Curry just shot the 3-pointer in the Olympics. Like those are moments like these kids in that situation. For them, it was winning a gold medal for them for the little girl to make the shot, and then her friends around her was giving her a high five, rolling by her, giving her the high five, and she's really feeling like she was in the NBA Finals. That's adaptive sports, man. It is worth watching. I actually know one of the competitors, the father of the guy who sponsored this event. His son is actually competing. Israel Freck is his name. He's actually competing in the Paralympics this year. He wears a prosthetic, and he's going to be racing. I think he races and does the high jump. But those, I mean, that doesn't get any more inspiring, any more touching. So if you guys got time, watch it, man. It's pretty remarkable. Not only what they've accomplished, what they've gone through, and how their mentality. Like we get mad or we get frustrated. Some of us get mad, frustrated when things don't go our way. But imagine these guys dealing with no limbs, what they're dealing with, how their frustration is, and what they're doing to overcome their challenge. It's pretty touching. So that's my thought on the Paralympics, Cleveland. What's your thoughts on Dion selecting who he wants to talk to, and refusing to take questions from the dude from the Denver Post? What's your thoughts on this situation?
It just shows his command and his power in Boulder right now. He can decide who he's going to talk to and who he's not going to talk to.
Yeah, I think it's kind of Bush League chicken dump on Dion's part. Like, number one, for the college, Colorado University, to single out this guy and then actually to promote or advertise that they're not going to take questions from this dude. Like they just, that dude, that's what journalists want. You the problem of is say he didn't make himself the story, they made him the story. Now they just added more, gave him more ammunition, gave him more notoriety, gave him more publicity. Like, I don't know that was the intention, but that was a bad, if you don't want to talk to him, you don't want to give this guy any shine, don't answer his question.
Okay, but that's cool. But Joe Paterno could do the same thing in Happy Valley. Nick Saban could do the same thing.
So the difference is, Cleavon, those guys and it happens all the time. You've been in the media room when they don't want to answer your question. They don't have to answer your question. The media, the PR dude doesn't have to call on you. You don't have to announce we're not calling on this guy, but they just give him more publicity. Cleveland, a situation happened in Los Angeles, 2023. A young reporter from covering the USC Trojans, University of Southern California Trojans. I don't know if you heard about the story or not. I don't know if any of you guys heard about the story, but he was a young reporter. I think he was his second year covering the team. Lincoln Riley didn't like the fact that so in college, like they're control freaks, right? And this is an example of Dion being a control freak. And the way they do it at USC specifically is you can only watch the last 15 minutes of the practice. The media practices at 3:00. It might last an hour. You have to get there. You stand outside. You can hear everything that's going on because it's only a fence that separates you. But at USC specifically, you stand outside the gate, and then they call you in for the final 15 minutes of practice. So the offense is to your right, the defense is to your left. Special teams is kind of on the far side, right? And then they walk you down. So just imagine you walk into the fence, you walk into the gate, and then 15 feet to your left, there's like a little section where it's a roped off section where you can't go past this portion, and you're kind of it's like a batter's box, if you will. You have to stay within this batter's box, right? And you can't dash your guys with the camera, with your cell phone, writer, TV cameraman. They have to stay within this batter box section. And then after practice, they may let you, depending on who's there, they may let you get a couple players. But for the most part, the coach will come over and speak. Depending on the day, the head coach or the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, depending on the day, will come over and speak to the group. They may, if they decide to have a player or two, come over and speak. And then you kind of have some leverage, some leeway, depending on your relationship with the PR guy. Maybe you can get a player or two outside of that situation. So what happened was the kid overheard before it was official time for them to get in front of the media. The guys were talking about how nervous they were to talk to the media because they don't get to talk to the media very often. They were talking about how nervous they were. The kid wrote that in an article, and Lincoln Riley was like, "No, we can't have this. Ban this guy from. Ban this guy. He can't come to media. He can't come and do his job at media." Okay. It was a Cleveland. They ban him at 3:15. They say he's banned. By 4:15, he has already told his editor. He's one of the senior columnists for the newspaper wrote an article on it. By that evening, how am I having a Bill? How am I having a brain fart? The old guy, Bill Plaschke writes an article on this, how USC is handling this situation wrong, and they should have a better. Lincoln Riley shouldn't be so sensitive. They should know how to handle the media. The media has been media is there to cover the team, give them more publicity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By the end of the night, the ban is lifted for the guy. But that's how the league of the team of reporters within the city kind of came to this young dude's back and supported his situation. Like, he wasn't doing anything nefarious. He was, he just kind of got some scoop and told the story. But Lincoln Riley was new. He couldn't get away with that, and that was cool. How the team of reporters in the city kind of came to the young dude's defense. But they elevated the young dude. He got more notoriety from that. I say all that to say, at the University of Colorado, if you don't want to talk to the dude, just don't talk to him. You don't ask him when there's 10 people in the room. Don't call on him. he raises his hand, don't call on that guy. That's how you're supposed to handle that situation. But it still looks bad when you single him out. We're not talking to you, and that's a journalist's job to get information and do it. Now he's a columnist where he can write his opinions and he can state he can write his opinion on what he thinks is going on. This doesn't hinder him from writing his opinion. It makes the school, in my opinion, it makes the school look bad. So the school should handle that situation in a different way, especially Deion Sanders. Like, come on, Deion, you scream for all the limelight, all the praise, all the eyeballs on you, and now somebody says something about you. They call you, say you're drinking prime Kool-Aid, and they call him the Bruce Lee of BS. Like, come on, you can't take that, Deion. Like, come on, man, you should be better. I thought it was a bad look for Colorado and Deion specifically. What do you think about NCAA proposing to eliminate the spring transfer portal window and just limit to the 30-day window in December for players to do the transfer, but eliminate the 15-day window in the spring? What do you think about that?
Oh, I like it. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a sci-fi movie. You got to hurry up and get it done before it closes.
Yeah, get in and get out.
Or you can't get out.
What do you think about any takeaways from the U.S. Open? Anything you want? Anything of significance you want to talk about U.S. Open?
Not so far. I mean, it's interesting that Ben Shelton and Tiafoe are facing in the third round, but I think that's just circumstances. I don't think that it was like anything malicious that came about it. I thought it was impressive that Naomi Osaka was able to beat the 10 seed Ostapenko. She hasn't been playing very well this year, so that was kind of a big plus. And maybe you can help me with this, Cam, because I don't know actually anything about this. The heat index apparently in New York is just super crazy. And so they have all these like rules that are in place for like extreme weather. Mm-hmm. But they were just in Cincinnati like 2 weeks ago. I imagine it was incredibly hot there.
There's a heat wave going on in the Northeast, and there's a heat wave.
In Washington, it's indoors, but I imagine like the Miami Open and like Indian Wells, like it's got to get like really, really hot. But maybe it's at different times of the year. So I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. So, are you familiar with heat index?
I am to a point, but I'm not familiar enough with it to like. Is it like specific to a time of the year, or maybe I'm not taking in consideration what other times of the year these other tournaments are, where typically they're very hot, but apparently not enough for like a heat.
I mean, obviously it's in August. This is August, September, typically the hottest time of the year, and it's up in New York. There is a heat wave going through New York right now. This week anyway. Heat index. My first experience with heat index is when I moved to Virginia. And it's 95 degrees, 95% humidity, but the heat index is 110. It feels like 110. That's what the heat index is. It's hot and humid. It's already hot and humid, but it feels like 110 because there's no wind, no nothing going, no air is moving. It's just hot and humid like an oven. That was my first experience with heat index. I was like, what heat index? Like what? Obviously, coming from Seattle, if it went to get 85, it's hot, right? Moving to Florida or moving to Georgia was close to Florida. It was 90 degrees. There was no heat index because it was close enough to the water where you get some kind of off flow or something, ocean breeze or something. But yeah, moving to Virginia, the heat index was it was 95 degrees. I would never forget this. It was one summer. It was over 90. It was kind of like here in Bama, over 95 degrees for 3 months straight, every day for 3 months. Like no break, no zip, not every single day. And then that heat index, yes, the heat index it feels like it's the heat plus humidity, and this is what it feels like. So yeah, the heat wave up there, and yeah, you gotta have a lot of water, man. You gotta hydration situation at its finest. So yeah, if they're dealing with that, I mean, there's a lot of exertion in tennis already, and you have
And
to deal with
so like maybe that this kind of helps like clarify. Like usually like the top players, they're playing, and they're kind of like, they're trying to win the match. But with this heat, they're like, nah, man, I'm trying to get this over with really, really fast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm trying to like play my best. Like I usually don't like play my best in the first or second round, but yeah, you
battle of attrition.
you have to get out. We
Yeah,
can't be out here
battle of attrition.
3 or 4 hours battling. Like, no, I got to take you out really, really fast. So I've seen a lot of that. But no, I think the tournament, I think the draw, the way it's shaken out, should be quite interesting. And we'll kind of see what the results will be. Oh, also, I don't want to throw the sister under the bus, but Sloane Stevens is feeling like a one-hit wonder, man.
Uh-oh.
She has a Grand Slam title under her belt, but Grand Slam champions don't lose in the first round, and they don't lose when they have like 5 match points.
Well, things happen, man.
In 2 separate sets.
Things happen, man. You have to grow. You have to grow into certain situations, don't you?
No. She won the Grand Slam. She won the U.S. Open 7 years ago, and hasn't
done anything since.
And then to lose the first round when you had match point 5 times in 2 separate sets.
Ooh, so you had a chance to end it all and couldn't end it
in 2 separate sets. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but that's, I mean, people coming up, now she has a target on her back. So,
that was 7 years ago.
Okay, so we got to keep our eye on Sloane Stevens and see if she can come back and win something. Before Cleveland says it was the resurrection. It was Milli Vanilli, huh? What games are you looking forward to watching this college football games? Are you looking forward to watching this weekend? You got North Dakota State versus Colorado.
Actually, this weekend I'm actually going to the Husky game, the Weber State game. I have no idea what they're going to look like, so I'm fairly curious.
Weber State.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting on the yacht. We're going down Lake Union, Colorado to Lake Washington. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
But you can't even see because University of Washington has turned capitalism all of a sudden. They done closed off that half of the stadium. You can't even see the stadium, or you can see the back of the scoreboard from the Lake Washington, right? You can't even look into the stadium now, right?
What are you talking about?
You said you're going down on the yacht outside Lake Washington.
Yeah, they're gonna drop us off. We're gonna walk in, go to the stadium, and then walk back to the yacht.
Oh, look at fancy dancy over there.
Well, I mean, University of Washington has the opportunity to do that. So being such a majestic stadium scenery, it's beautiful.
Is it?
It is.
Is it kind of like T-Mobile? T-Mobile it's a nice scenery,
no,
nice visual, but nothing actually goes on the field.
Right off the what?
Nothing really goes on the field. Is that kind of same situation with T-Mobile?
Gee whiz. See what happens when you lose 2 games in 2 years, fans? People just turn on you and expect perfection.
Thank you, Boots. Thanks for answering the question, Boots. Like, what games are you actually looking forward to seeing?
Okay, well, damn. I was getting around to that.
You were talking about going on a yacht to watch UW versus Weber State. Really, thanks, Boots. Thanks, Boots.
Because I am. Because at the University of Washington, it's close enough to the water that you can actually, boat up to.
But Weber State is not even a game worth watching.
Cool. But no, USC.
Thank you for breaking it down, Boots. I appreciate you.
USC, LSU is the game I'm most interested in.
And we'll see if losing Caleb Williams, losing the quarterback of the generation of quarterbacks.
I'm just curious to see if the former Pac-12, which I guess would now be the Big 10 North,
can compete with the SEC.
Big 10 West can compete with the big bad mighty LSU Tigers.
It might be a 55 to 23 game or something like that. Because how can you lose Caleb Williams, a generational quarterback, and then be worth anything?
Because it's college football, Cameron. They recruit and they just keep replenishing the talent. But no, I did you see the Florida State Georgia Tech game last week?
No.
Okay, well,
No.
I
saw Georgia Tech won.
I was not
That
sold.
was 24-21 though.
I was not sold on the transfer quarterback, and now I know why.
Cam Ward, what do you expect from Cam Ward at University of Miami? He's in the Heisman consideration.
Not a lot. We'll see what he can do.
Man, what school did he go to last year?
I don't
What
remember.
school did Cam? What school did?
Whatever school he went to, got in the portal and got to the orange and green. So we'll see if Cristobal can turn water into wine. I'm not sure.
Turn water into wine. But he had to be that school he went to. I mean, they had to be pretty good because Cam Ward was not bad.
I'm pretty sure whatever school he went to, it was not the best school in the state. Whatever school that was.
What I tell you? You want to talk about Shohei and his greatness today or tonight? I mean, 44.
Actually, Cam, I don't know if you've seen what Aaron Judge has been doing lately. My goodness gracious. I mean, that dude is hitting 333 with 51 home runs and 125 RBIs. Good Lord. Staggering numbers. Only reason he's not going to win a Triple Crown is because Bobby Witt Jr. is hitting 346. And that's a few too many percentage points to get the Triple Crown. But
has anybody ever hit the 50-50? Has anybody hit 50 home runs?
Ronald Acuna Jr. was at 40-70 last year.
No.
But he was not
50-50 is what I said.
That's what
50-50.
You let me finish, Cam. It was not 50-50, no.
Oh, okay.
So no one has done that to this point.
So Shohei's on that pace.
Early speculation.
What's a bigger stat for Aaron Judge? 252 home runs. He leads the majors since 2018, or 9 home run takeaways in that same time frame leading the league.
252 home runs.
I should have counted up Shohei's home runs. It might be very close to that right there. Should have counted that up for you guys, fans. I have that number next week. Cleveland, did you see your boy Floyd Mayweather against Gotti? Floyd Mayweather versus Gotti 3 this past weekend, Saturday night. Floyd Mayweather, what does that say?
I can't read that, Cam. The writing is too small.
Oh, the font is too small.
Font's too small on my side of the computer here. I can't read.
I'm trying to get him to say he refuses to acknowledge it, Boots. I was trying to get him to say it. Floyd Mayweather kicked the ref out of the match after the first round and switched. He had a second ref on call and continued. I think it was the eight round fight. He had brought in this backup ref after the first round. What's your thoughts on Floyd Mayweather, man? What's your thoughts on Floyd Mayweather?
I mean, I like it. I mean, if you're gonna be the greatest, one of the top 5 greatest fighters in the history of boxing, and the first referee ain't doing his job and it's an exhibition, yeah. Switch it out.
Oh my goodness, he was never in danger of that fight. Never in danger of that fight.
Apparently he was doing something he didn't like. I mean, switch it out.
Cleveland, let's thank Cleveland fans. Let's give Cleveland a round of applause for joining the show tonight. Let the people know where they can find you, Cleveland.
At Clevie Wonder on TikTok and Twitter, and Cleveland still on Instagram.
Fans, when I'm researching for the show, I like to come up with a quote that help motivate you guys, carry you guys through the week. Got some difficult news right before the show started tonight. That kind of changed my whole show up, or my whole thought process up. And the quote I'm in, I think I heard this quote 1978 or 79. Um, the fans have lost my father today. Just got the news right. I knew he was sick. I was hoping to get back to Seattle to see him before I got this phone call. I got this phone call just before the show, and I thank Cleveland for helping me through the show tonight. Give Cleveland a round of applause. Shout out to Eric Williams for joining us tonight, helping me through the show. But as you might imagine, there's a host of feelings, host of emotions that I've experienced throughout this last 2 hour 50 minutes that we've been on air. But this show, Cleveland, we have spoke about it years ago, that the show has become cathartic. Not only do we like to banter back and forth, and I particularly want to bring you guys some knowledge and sports from a perspective that maybe you guys haven't acknowledged, recognized, or heard before. That's the whole reason for the Voice of the Fans platform, which started Cleveland and I started years and years ago. And I want to just share stories from a fan's perspective. That's why it's called Voice of the Fans. We're all fans. I think a lot of people in the journalism industry, fortunate to them, like they've wanted to be journalists from middle school and wanted to read articles and read the newspaper, read books, and wanted to become a journalist from that. Well, I wanted to tell the story from a sports fan's perspective. Being from a relatively small market, Seattle at the time was a relatively small market. That I'm not a big city type of sports fan. I'm not a fan of the Yankees, the Knicks, the Cowboys, the Lakers, because I grew up in a relatively small town, Seattle, Washington. Root for the Seattle Supersonics. So my particular sports fandom, appreciate your boots. Thanks for chiming in, bro. Appreciate you, man. My particular sports fandom is different than a lot of people, and so again, this whole sports of the Voice of the Fans platform is to tell stories from a sports fans perspective, and I think that's what separates me. Well, there's a few different things, but that's one of the things that separates me from other journalists that you might read or hear from. And again, I want to do the show just again to talk sports, to have fun with you guys as we have the numbers game, to kind of educate you guys. That's why we have the this week in history. And then something that's special to me is the quote of the week. And I take pride in trying to identify great quotes to help motivate not only myself, Cleveland, but the listeners, you guys as well, throughout the 300 episodes that we've done. And I mean, I'm a big quote guy. One of my favorite quotes is from Ralph Waldo Emerson is, nothing great was done without enthusiasm. So you have to be excited, and you have to have enthusiasm. Just think about your life, guys. If you weren't happy to do it, it probably didn't go so well. So nothing great was done without enthusiasm. And that's something I truly believe in. But this line here, I'm about to tell you guys, um, epitomizes who my father was. I played football for him for 1 year, and graciously it was only for 1 year because um well, he picked on me. I knew I had to be good because I was the coach's son, so I knew I had to perform, and then I knew I couldn't mess up because I was going to hear about it not only in practice but then after practice I had to hear about it too. So I've stayed pretty focused as focused as I could. And there was, I'll tell you this, got a couple stories. I'll tell you this one here story is where I just didn't feel like practicing. For whatever reason, I just didn't feel like practicing. And then he's like, well, if you don't shape up, and this is where the hard coaching comes into play. He's like, if you don't shape up, you're gonna have to walk home. Okay, dude, I've walked to practice several times during the year, so you making me walk home isn't no big deal. Now I'm pouting, so I'm think I was loafing on my laps, wasn't running laps hard or whatever. He said, you're walking home, right? So after the whistle and practice blows, instead of going and slapping five with the players and talking around, I start walking. I start on my path walking home. Like you said I gotta walk home, I'm gonna walk home. It was a mile and a half. Again, I've done this same walk multiple times throughout the season, so it really wasn't a big deal to me. He obviously picked me up. He came and picked me up, but it was he didn't believe that I was gonna walk home. He was like, come on, man, get in the car. And I was like, you sure? You just told me to walk home. I was walking home. He picked me up and gave me the. But one quote that he said very often, and anybody who played football on his team, he coached several years. I only played for him 1 year. He coached several years, and the quote that he would say constantly, and it was funny at the time he said it, but it actually resonated in life. And it just kind of faintly every year, kind of you hear the story. Be the firstest with the mostest. Be the firstest with the mostest. And what he was referencing was on the football field, hitting. You want to hit your opponent first and with the most. You want to be the first one to hit and hit with the most. Be the firstest with the mostest. So again, it wasn't, scholarly. It didn't come out of the encyclopedia, but it's what he put together, and it makes sense. I mean, Cleveland, when you go to work, well, I can't say everybody has this. Well, let me put this on you. But me, for my lifetime, I go to work. I want to be first, and I want to be best, and that resonated with me at every level of my job. And as a leader, I want to coach my team to be first and best, and that stems from that statement: "Be the firstest with the mostest," that I got from Mr. Gregory Buford. Man, it's a tough loss. It's a tough loss. But Cleveland, thank you for riding with me today.
My pleasure, bro.
The show's not going to stop, and I had to do the show today. Not only did we have the guests, but what am I going to do? Just go sit on the couch and cry? Like, what he instilled in me over the years is just to continue to be you. Stay clean and do the best you can, man. That's what I'll continue to do. That's what I'll continue to be. Fans, thank you guys for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast. Give yourself a round of applause, fans. And as always, fans, thank you for making our voice your choice. Have a good evening.